Chris, I like the haircut.
All right, there we go.
All right, Stacy, we good?
We are good.
All right, well, welcome everybody to the Monday, April 7th, 2025 Park and Rec Commission meeting. I do apologize that this isn't one of our normal settings, days, and events that we usually have. We are in the Memorial Park Trustee Building today because of the town election that we have going on tomorrow, and Rosemary is a voting location, so we had to move the location of our meeting. We also have two, if not three, commissioners via Zoom tonight? Two.
Currently.
Okay, great. So that means we have three in-house. So I will apologize right now that if I miss people that are there because I'm not in the room. So I'm going to rely on the staff and the other commissioners to help me out. And if I miss something, I do apologize. So I appreciate everyone's patience with this, and we will have the smoothest meeting as possible as we can.
Chris, there are only two commissioners in the room, Cindy and Michelle, just so you know.
Okay.
And if you could get done by 8:50 today, that would be very helpful. If you could wrap it up by then, that'd be great.
Do you have something going on with the end of March Madness, Director Mulroy?
I do. I
Okay,
need to get
fantastic.
back for very important
Yes, I was wondering, such a
meeting starting at
All right, Stacy, let us know. Who do you got? Florida or Houston?
Houston. Oh,
I'm glad
right.
this is a recorded
Keep
meeting.
it going.
All right.
Keep it going.
So, all right, here we are for the open forum and public comment. Stacy, do we have, besides myself and Dina, anybody else in the open forum online?
We do have three other people online, and we have quite a few people in the room with us.
Okay, perfect. And to my knowledge, I know that Mr. Dave Vellante is there from Needham Baseball and Softball to speak as a guest. I also hear that
he's ready to go.
Well, who said he had to go first?
I did.
Okay. All right. Well, we also have a contingency from the disc golf community there, correct, tonight too.
That's
So,
correct.
as I did text with actually Stacy earlier that I did do a coin flip, and Needham Baseball and Softball gets to go first. So, Dave Vellante, I will yield the floor to you, and you may speak accordingly. And it's all yours.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you for having me, Commission. I had a couple of questions sort of procedurally of things that we're talking about at the board level for Needham Baseball and Softball. I've been the president now for just under a year. Before that, I was on the board for 5 or 6 years in different roles. Last couple of years, really focused on our fields. We get, as any user group, I think, with the amount of kids and families that we register and provide service for, we're bound to get complaints about a lot of different things, but the vast majority of our complaints come around fields. And the condition of them at all levels, depending on the season and all that. And a lot of it actually comes right after summer, where we have both softball and baseball teams traveling to other towns and getting kind of a glimpse. And I have kids in the same boat, and I understand the concern of some of these parents. Just as a kind of background, when I joined the board 6 or 7 years ago, we weren't independently spending any money on fields. The town was handling all field maintenance and field projects and all of that. As years went on and frustrations were starting to grow within the board and with our parents who were emailing and calling and grabbing us on sidelines, we started and working with Ed at the town, found a vendor who we approved to kind of service fields. And we were doing sort of weekly touches on fields and trying to find an appropriate schedule within our budget to have him there on our high use fields once a week or once every other week in season. And some of our lower use fields, once every 3 or 4 weeks. We're really struggling to keep up. I don't have a background in turf, obviously, but I have a background in agriculture. And I understand that weather dictates an awful lot of this. And that's a hard thing to get through to our parents, especially last week when it's 65 degrees on a Friday, but it's been raining and 40 every other day. When fields were closed, and I completely understood and got the reasoning why, the amount of emails that I got mad at me for closing fields, which I respond, I don't own the fields, I don't close the fields, and it's a decision that we support within the board. But we're now this year, and every year it's gone up a little bit, but we're budgeting and planning on, with our weekly maintenance schedule, spend upwards of $50,000 of Needham baseball and softball money just on our diamonds. 22 diamonds, 24, I believe, when Claxton's online. And so the overarching question that I would have, among a couple other ones, but the bigger one is, what can we do to get our fields in Needham, supported by the Parks and Rec Commission and the department, and I've worked really closely with Ed. I've known him for a while. His daughter and my son are the same age, so we grew up. They grew up together at Hillside and all that. It just, we're now basically taking all of, especially in the spring, they can handle all of the fields that the high school teams play on, which is a lot of diamonds. And we're sort of handling all little league fields. They'll hop in when they can, but they're spent as far as resources and amount of people. So the bigger overarching question from our board is, and this is where I want to start, is do we bring that to the commission here for help as far as essentially finding resources or finding room in the budget to increase what we're able to do on these fields? Our new fields director, this last week has been calling around to other towns and asking their relationship with the user groups, and especially in baseball and softball, because and I don't mean to diminish soccer, but this maintenance on a soccer field, although they get high use in areas of the goal mouths and all that kind of stuff, is, you're managing the turf, which is a big job, but you're mowing, you're painting. Baseball and softball, especially with the full dirt diamonds, the skin diamonds, is incredibly labor intensive because you're grooming those diamonds, and then you have to continue to groom them and maintain them through the summer months when weed pressure is the highest, and you're growing weeds at a crazy rate, which I'm sure we all see in our lawns and our gardens. And we're losing a lot of that in the summer, that we're coming back to fields and realizing we have to put significant money into fields just to get them back to playable, because they're covered and they're weeded in, and whether it's not just the edges of the field that are growing in, but the whole field. So there's a lot of frustration within the board level over the amount of money we're now spending that we weren't before, and we've had to raise our registration fees to to budget for that, basically, to make sure we have the money to spend, and we still feel like we're treading water, we're not gaining. We've been able to work on a lot of smaller projects within the town, along with the town and Ed and his crew, and get things done. And I think once the fence is done at the small diamond, that's going to be a premier diamond, around here, which is wonderful. But I guess, so first question, I can just kind of go through this and you guys can answer them in order if you want, is who do we go to? Who can we talk to? Who can we get in front of to help you folks or whoever needs to hear this to try to budget or find more resources for this maintenance that is sort of slipped over the years? The second part, I met with Stacy and Ed back in the fall, and with this understanding that they were kind of strapped for labor, and we're hopeful that we could get a third-party contractor to come out and hit some of the really diamonds that are struggling right now, softball and baseball, early in the spring, to get them to a state where we then, as a board, could allocate our resources not on the $1,000 here, $2,000 there to bring in dirt and clay to get them back to play. Then we could be on every field in Needham once every other week at a minimum. And we were able to budget that way and do it. And it just so happens that the process, and I was reporting back to our board saying, I think this is going to be great. We're going to have fields to a point where we can start from a really high place and maintain that versus just trying to play catch up all year. And we finally did get approval to do that project, but we got approval, say, a week ago, and now, we're looking into June before we can get a contractor on any of these fields. When the majority of our use is spring softball and baseball. We have a summer program and fall program, but spring is our season. So, I have to go back next Monday to the board and be like, well, they're going to be great in July, and most kids aren't on the diamonds in July, and that's going to be, no one knows that yet. That's going to be a frustrating conversation on next Monday night for our board meeting. Then the other two parts were more kind of big picture and more specific to fields. When we did the small project last year, we did lay in conduit, so we didn't put the field up again, because we don't have a Little League diamond in town. We're really the only towns around in our area that doesn't have a lit diamond. We'll have 2 lit softball diamonds, which is wonderful. And it's, in a way, by improving McLeod, which is beautiful and was a project really well done, and the Claxton project looks great, you've kind of created, not a monster, but you've created a problem where, like, now, you know what I mean? Like, it's one of those, right?
Yep.
Which is not a bad problem to have. You have really nice fields. That's a really good thing. And I think when the Claxton is done, you're gonna have 3 of the nicest softball fields in the region, which is a great accomplishment. And I think we just need to find a way to serve the Little League as well. So we are through some independent donors, able to raise money. We've done a couple of fundraising nights. We have another one coming up in May. And we're kind of targeting that idea of finding a way to put lights at small. And I understand in talks with Stacy and Ed that it's on, and I maybe get my details wrong, but it's on like a 5-year plan or whatever it is, how major town projects work. And I guess the question from the board is, at what point can Needham baseball and softball offset some of that cost to kind of accelerate the process and get that project done sooner? And my last question is become more apparent to me in the last 2 years, and my son is now a sophomore, and I know Chris's son who just graduated has gone through this, but this is such a beautiful spot for a diamond, as I'm pointing out the window, Chris. And it's,
see
the
that, thank
backdrop
you.
is as nice as it gets in the state, I think. But you could stock that with trout right now and probably have a lively, fishing derby at shortstop, because everything comes off the hill, runs across the turf, and then dumps at shortstop, and that's our varsity baseball diamond. Like, they're supposed to have a game tomorrow, but even in a quarter inch of rain, most diamonds should be able to handle a quarter inch of rain and be worked up to play the next day. If you have decent weather the next day.
Yeah.
I imagine you're a week out from playing on that diamond. With decent weather, and that's no one in this room's fault, obviously. It's just the way this project, when that was all done, was sort of designed that the low point is shortstop, and that is a problem. So my bigger question here, and it's something that the varsity coach brought to, I also said in the Diamond Club, which is like the high school booster for baseball, is, pie in the sky, what is the chance of at some point in the future turfing that field? Because New England baseball is New England baseball. I played it at New England College, and we played in snow and everything else, but the only chance you have of getting games in and being able to really use that field for a lot of different things, whether it's our Big Diamond program, our intermediate program with the lights there and everything, it's great. It's of the 3 big diamonds left in Needham, it is by far the least useful because of the way the water hits it. So whether it's a drainage situation, something can be improved, well above my level of expertise, obviously. Or like I said, the ultimate solve would be to turf it. That's all I have, sorry.
I don't know if you can see me.
I can see a hand waving by
Oh.
Stacy, that's about it.
That would be me. Can I answer that last one first?
Yeah.
Does anybody mind? Alright, there's 2 things. One, yes, it would be a huge stormwater renovation project, way above my pay grade, and Gabby would love that, but I think we would be tearing up every field in order to do that. The thing I really want to talk about is turf. So right now there is a bill on Capitol Hill, and the senators and the representatives in Massachusetts want to ban turf fields for all public entities. It started 3 years ago, it keeps getting dismissed, but it goes back up there again, so. The Massachusetts Park and Rec Association are sending in emails and notes to our representatives and senators, and it would be helpful if other sports groups would do the same, because we don't want no turf fields, because we can't exist specifically on grass because we live in New England, and this happens in the snow, and the high school getting out on the fields, they're only on turfs for like 3 weeks. So it is, I don't know what the appetite is for the Memorial Park trustees to put in a turf baseball field, and I think that would have to be a bigger conversation with the commission and the capital plan and everything else. But that could impede all of it if that bill passes. And it's just, they just keep bringing it back up, and it keeps getting kicked off, but
Okay.
it is a thing that's gonna
Okay,
apparently at some point possibly get voted.
I'll reach out for information where to send a
Yeah.
note from the baseball and softball.
Yeah, absolutely.
Dina, you have your hand raised, so I'll let you go first. You're muted, Dina.
Right,
we
okay,
go.
can you hear me?
Yep.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you. I'm sorry, I have a cold, so sounds horrible, but, anyway, Stacy, I'm just curious, what's the reason for wanting to, steer away from turf?
I don't wanna go into it because it's like the longest thing I've ever read, but it's basically about the particles of the turf and how they're not safe for people's health, when the
Okay.
kids fall.
Yeah.
I can send you the information so you can get more of the background, but I don't wanna eat up the meeting.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it's
No, that's great.
mainly
That's
on
good.
children's safety, but I can send it around.
Okay, thank you.
Any other commissioners have a hand raised or want to comment before I jump in?
I'd be happy to have you jump in, Chris, since you have more baseball knowledge, I think, than the rest of us.
Well, I do, but I mean, I'm gonna do a whole blanket kind of, statement on this one, is that it's the three not enoughs. That we don't have enough in the budget, we don't have enough manpower, and we don't have enough hours in the day. That, yes, I applaud organizations like soccer when they pay to have the lines painted. Dave, I think it's great what baseball's doing to upkeep the fields because there's just not enough manpower, which all, in my opinion, relates down to budget. That is something that we're always trying to work for, is that it's not just also the fields that we're taking care of the playable fields. It's also the other parts of town that the park and forestry has to take care of, is that they have to be part of the emergency crew, that if a storm comes through, that they're the ones cutting down the trees that fall on the roads. And for safety of what's going on, is that, yes, they want to take care of the fields as much as possible. Would I love to have the Fenway Park crew here doing all this, as much as they can? That'd be a great thing to have, but we just don't have that. Our crews do the best as they can, and Eddie, as you know, the man knows more than I could ever forget. So anything that him and his crew can do, we're all here for support it. And the biggest thing is, yeah, just increasing that budget and getting more people to do the work. But I also think it falls into the specialty of what can happen, is that I remember Eddie came to one of the meetings months ago or years ago and said, hey, it's great to have, and I don't mean to be picking on this person, but Lenahan. Lenahan does great gardening and puts begonias in and things like that. You don't want them touching a baseball field or a soccer field or anything else that's out there, because that's not their specialty. And it is a very small breed that's out there that can actually do the work that Eddie or the Park and Forestry Department would put their trust in, to say, you know what, I don't have to worry about doing McLeod. I don't have to worry about doing Warner and things like that. And it's a very short list. And you got to think, if we're asking, there are other towns asking to do the same exact thing. So again, it turns into not enough hours in the day, and it's a very frustrating answer to give, but it's probably the best answer to give that's out there right now, is that there's not enough hands to help out to do the work, and we do our best to do everything that we can, and we rely on organizations to help out. And yes, we would love to not have you pay $50,000 a year to do this, but it's just not there, and it's something that we're working towards, but it's not going to be a quick fix, almost like trash on the fields. We would love to have one word or one thing to fix all the trash on the field, but it's going to be a work in progress. And this is the same thing of, it's going to be a work in progress, and working with the sports groups and youth organizations and things like that is the best thing we can ask. And I hope it's going to get better. I really do.
So Chris, that's exactly my question. I understand that that's our issue. So as a user group, and other than soccer, the largest user groups of fields in town, who do we talk to? That's why I started here, right?
Yeah.
Who can we go
Yeah.
with our efforts and go from there to help augment that? Because I understand what you're saying. The answer there is you need more people, or you need, and that's simple, right? I mean, it's not that simple. I understand as an employer, I get that, but that's like,
in the right
is a
direction.
longer term, like my youngest is 5. So this is a long-term process, and I completely understand that.
Cindy, you had your hand raised about the answer.
Sure, I don't know if I have the answer, but I think that Dave asked a valid question. I think the answer is, starting with us is good. I think we need to ask for more money in the budget. Whether or not we'll get it, I don't know. I don't think things are looking all that rosy right now, but who knows? It would be in Ed's budget, right? It would not be in our budget. So I think talking to him and to his department, or to Karis, the
Okay.
DPW, I think is, if you haven't already, I know you've talked to Ed a lot probably, but I think that's where it goes. I will tell you is, the Park and Rec Commission, we, in the past have often, tried to go to bat for, right, for Ed's department, for Parks and Forestry, going way back, we would go to bat and say, hey, we would really like them to get this money. We would go to the finance committee or to the town manager and say, we're in favor of their budget request, because we think it's great, it's gonna help all of us. But I think that's where it would not be in our budget. So while we can opine on it and we can support it, would not be our budget. I would think we would support it. I don't see why the commission or the department would not support it. 50,000 what you think is needed? Is that, and that sounds like.
I
what
think,
you
do you think
folks-
you need more?
We need more than 50.
I mean, yeah, I mean, what we're doing is, like I said, trying to tread water with
Yeah.
that amount of money, which is a lot. So the user fee that the user groups pay, is that controlled by the commission or is that controlled by DPW?
That's,
So that's, I can jump in, so
Yep.
Ed's budget pays for a lot of the field maintenance, and so what you're asking for is an increase in maintenance, so we couldn't do a capital request or any grant, like,
Right.
it's maintenance, so it would be Ed. The user fees that all our permit holders pay come to us, so that is the thing that the commission votes on, that was the thing that we just increased in 24.
And scheduled another increase, I think, right?
So the
Yeah.
proposed is, yeah, 27.
Okay,
Every 3 years.
right.
That money specifically goes to Ed hires an outside contractor through the procurement process, which you are now learning takes too long.
Mhm.
So Tom Merwin comes in and we pay that bill. So it's like this year it's about $140,000 for this spring for Tom Merwin to come in and do the stuff that they do. So we supplement his budget, but I don't have like a field maintenance line item in my budget that would be specifically to Ed.
Okay,
And that money is dispersed wherever and the
okay,
team decided it needs to go, because that is not in my wheelhouse.
understood. So that $20, how much goes to that versus
15.
15 goes to that? Okay.
and Mr. Chair, can I ask a couple of questions?
Sure can.
Lights at Smallfield, that is on our capital plan, it's out a ways, right?
Yeah, so it's in our 10-year plan, but it's not in
really
our
a-
5-year plan,
It's a
which is,
placeholder, if you
so-
will.
so FinCom likes to know things are coming down the pipeline, so if we think something might come, we put in what's called a future form, which we just recently did for disc golf, so that they have a heads up that it's coming for them. So that it's not on our list, it's not in the front 5
Okay.
years. And I would say it's not, I won't say it's not ever, but it's not often the money that is the holdup. It's the amount of staff time to manage all the different projects in town. So right now we've had to hire an outside contractor to project manage the tennis court renovation. Typically it's engineering, but there's just too many projects going on in DPW, not just Park and Rec, but all of the stuff. So it is more often a bandwidth.
It's just only so
concern.
many projects the town can absorb.
Yeah, and like that, will town meeting say yes, will CPC say yes, so all of those things have to go through
Okay.
the process.
So how does a project like that get off of the placeholder list and onto the actual list?
I would say doing what you're doing now.
Right, I mean, as a commission, we'll talk about it, we can certainly suggest it be advanced, we can ask for it to be advanced. As always, it'll stack up against everything else
Right.
that's out there, especially those kind of projects. I don't know that would be CPC eligible, like it probably would, so
Could be.
that helps if there is funding in CPC.
Okay,
And I don't have any idea what the cost of lighting, a baseball.
it's a couple
field.
$100,000. for-
Okay, I would have guessed 300, just because everything seems to be 300 these days, at least 300, right? But, okay, so it's fairly, I mean,
Well,
to me,
yeah,
it seems very
right.
significant, right?
So I was hoping there's definitely appetite on the board and with some donors who have stepped up that would willing to kick into it, but need a end date,
Yeah.
Right, need some, right,
Yeah.
right. So we can talk about his commission, we can put it on our agenda to talk about and, which some other groups will tell you, we talk about things for a long time before anything happens, but things do move a little bit faster than glacial. The drainage out here, this field has been a problem for a long, I mean, the drainage around the gazebo and that area has been a mess. I don't know that the town will have an appetite for another artificial turf field. I don't know about the community. I think it would be mixed.
Mhm.
You'd have to make a really strong case. There are those people that don't like it at all. Those of us on the recreation, so all those lights just went out.
Yeah.
there. Oh, it's motion. And there are those of us on the recreation side who say it's the only way we really get to play these sports in this region, right? So you've got both sides. The Board of Health sometimes seems to be in the middle. They're
They're in the middle, in fact, I just got an email from them about temperature and safety and stuff like that, which they send out to us every year,
Yeah.
especially closer to the summer.
Yeah, and that doesn't mean we wouldn't do it. Personally, I feel like that's maybe a harder sell, but I don't know if you feel the same way. I think the lights, I think the maintenance. issues that we should be able to address.
Mhm.
How timely, I don't know. I don't know about I don't know how you feel about the turf.
Well, even if you take the turf out of it, because that's sort of like the home run play, right? Just trying to improve what's there now,
Yeah,
because it is, when the weather is perfect, it is a really beautiful.
it's a beautiful
diamond.
place, right?
But it's, I mean, it's, with a little bit of rain, it's unplayable. And the other two diamonds in town are very nice, and you think like Walker Gordon Diamond, which is essentially in the swamp, but it holds
Right.
water a lot better than this
Right.
one.
Agreed.
So is there an appetite, or how does it work to get sort of feasibility on attempting to fix any drain? And I don't know if it's probably a bigger project than I anticipate, but what that looks like as far as getting town resources or the commission, someone to look at it, so can we make a fix to this? You know, instead of trying to turf it for $1 million or whatever,
Right.
but is there a way to look at it and try to help fix it?
So I think DBW now has a sustainability manager, Gabby Queenan, Queenan. And so she is very gung ho on stormwater retention and working with us to make sure that as we do projects, we're upgrading that stuff. So she would be the first person I would tap to ask something
Okay.
like that.
Okay.
And if you ping me, I can send you contact. I can put you guys in contact.
Okay, great.
She's great.
Okay, yeah, I guess that's sort of said my piece. I just, I don't know, I'm pretty confident there's not another user group putting as much into fields as we are. And I'm holding back the dam here
Oh,
from
sure,
of board
sure.
members and parents. Frustration. I'm trying to get that out and see what steps I can give people to improve it.
Mhm.
And I understand that everything takes time. It's just, I'm trying to think of how I'm gonna phrase this on Monday nights and not get killed. in front
Oh,
of people.
agreed. And honestly, last year, 2 years ago, I think, we spent a lot of time with the softball parents. And we were trying to hold them back because they were pretty
Yeah.
upset with us. And so it's funny to hear you say now that we've got these softball fields coming online that are fabulous and going to be fabulous.
Yeah.
And all we heard was equity for the girls that we
Yeah.
hadn't taken. And so like, whew, we got that almost done, but now
Well, a
it
lot of
makes the
times,
baseball.
these like third or fourth tier diamonds that all these kids are starting on, and if we
Yeah.
give them a product that's. Like, we're having, and it's baseball and softball in general that is having trouble keeping kids.
Yeah.
You know, it's a slower game,
Yeah.
but we're not helping ourselves by putting them on some of these fields that are just not. I mean, some of them are safe, there's some safety risks out there too, I mean, certain fields that get really bad. Like the white right now is mostly like rocks, like big rocks. And that's on our list
Yep.
for those 6 fields, but by the time we get to them, spring's over, and we don't really use that field in the summer because it's not usable. So, you know, I don't want to send people in kicking and screaming, but I'm trying to pull back.
Yep.
And trying to get this done in a way that everyone's happy, and we can move forward together. Like I said, I've worked with Ed for the last 2 or 3 years, and I think we have a really good relationship and work really well together, and we're in communication with him and Mike and Doug. About what fields we're hitting, and so I'm trying to make sure we don't hit the same fields, you know, trying to be efficient with that. But it's sort of only gotten us so far, and that's what I'm getting from all the board and the parents that are emailing me is, you know, something has to happen here. So I guess that's I can talk to Karis about that budget, thing, and then see if she has a suggestion where to go from there. And the sustainability manager about the drainage out here, which again was like my 4th
Mhm.
priority, but, just letting you folks know that that's
Yeah,
coming.
this frustration is there, right? And we're willing
Yeah.
we're willing to be supportive and to listen. I mean,
Mhm.
lots of groups come to us with this, not with this kind of thing, but the softball folks came and they raked us over the coals.
Yeah.
Pretty much meeting after meeting, right? But we listen, we understand the frustration. We're trying our hardest to, you know, again, things move slowly, but we'd like to do it before your 5-year-old graduates from high school, right?
Right. Okay, all right, thank you.
So, yeah, thank you.
Thanks. All right, Stacey, I'll be in touch.
All right, yes.
Thanks, Chris.
Thank you, Dave. All right, that was, well, I was meeting guests. That was one of 2. I know that the disc golf group is there. Are we there just to observe, or are there any public comments from the disc golf group? All
I
right,
don't really want to take your time. You've heard our spiel before. We can answer whatever questions you have. We hope for some forward motion here.
Mhm.
okay,
I have one comment.
Do you mind coming up because on the mic and just, could you state your name?
Yeah.
please?
Hi, my name is Joe Abruzzi. I'm at 30 Bridle Trail Road. I'm just here to support the disc golf and my fellow neighbors. I have two boys who love disc golf. Today they go all the way to Borderland State Park to play. I do think it's a excellent opportunity at relatively low cost and hopefully relatively low maintenance once it's built. That, you know, I think a lot of kids and adults can enjoy here in the town of Needham. So just supportive of it. I just wanted to make that comment.
Great, thank you.
Thanks.
Definitely. And just one thing I will say, I know at it's been a while. I think it was November that last time disc golf. Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. I wasn't sure. My screen went off. I mean, speaking for myself, I think disc golf is a value add. I really do. I mean, any place that we can put this, I think it's great that the feasibility study was done. And I mean, speaking for myself as a commissioner, I would really like to see this project come through. It's just fitting into the timeline that we want. Is that any place that we can add more than just a simple sports field, but something else that's an amenity to one of the complexes and make it a destination? That's what we're trying to do. We're not trying to focus on one, we're trying to focus on many. So with disc golf being here, I think it's a worthy look into where we can fit this.
So, Mr. Chair, if I could speak.
Please do.
Thank you. So Mr. Baker contacted me, I don't know, seems like a few weeks ago, maybe it was more than a month ago now, Bob, and just said what's going on with disc golf. So I thought it might be a nice agenda item for the commission to talk about and just outline what we think can happen and to maybe just put a little bit of a timeline together for this group, because they have been very patient and they've given us some good information. So I invited them to come, but I think they mostly want to observe and listen to us talk. And what I was hoping we could talk about is what kind of a timeline we could do for disc golf, and if we can do anything to work this into the active recreation park project. And if it is not part of the project that was presented to CPC at all, then we can't undermine that project, because that's already been approved by CPC and forwarded to town meeting. But if there is something we could do there, or somehow we can think about it there, I think it would be a great project.
Cindy, I was thinking about this conversation, and I think the first step would be talking to the procurement team and say, like, we know when the CPC approved it as written, there was no mention of disc golf, but what if there is money left over? Is this something that we can expand? Do we have to amend it? Those kinds of things. So I have a meeting with Cecilia about a different procurement project tomorrow, so I'm gonna add that to my list to talk to her. And additionally, I know disc golf brought some budget numbers to us. Because we work for the municipality, I was also gonna reach out to some vendors and find out what is the cost, like with the prevailing wage. And also to planning and conservation about permitting, like what kind of permitting we may need in the areas that they're looking at. So those are the three things on my list to do that, and those things can help with our timeline. Certainly a harder budget number with timeline. I don't know where it can fit. The commission would have to discuss on where it fits. If it doesn't fit into Claxton project or the active sports park, where it would fit after that, and that's a commission decision, but at least we could have a budget and permitting information.
Okay, and we have it out there now in the capital plan as
It's called the future form.
future form.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. And are there any concerns about the disc golf? I know they talk about, is it cement,
Yeah, so the cement pads, I think, are one of the things that I
Cement
would
pads.
specifically talk to conservation. I know conservation are in support of it. I know that we have gotten some information from them. I just would want to double check, and that's where the permitting would come in about the cement pads.
Can I say something? Is it too late?
No, it's not.
Okay, all right. They don't have to be cement. They can be stone, they can be pavers, and they can be dust too, as well.
Turf.
And so there are really a lot of options to be done, and
Right, but all of those are more maintenance than concrete. Which would fall then on the town.
some, a bit more maintenance, and a lot of these, courses, I mean, if we build a course that has some draw, there could easily be a club that takes care of this, and that's what's happening all over New England. There's a wonderful course, I mean, these folks in the room know a lot more courses than I do, but there's a course in Marston's Mills that I don't think the town of Barnstable put a dime into, really. So, you know, we have the expertise to put the baskets in the ground and do that. What we would never do, we would never touch a tree without the town's permission. And we need to have the course professionally located and designed. But I don't really think there's a lot of maintenance
Okay.
on these T-pads. I mean, I also had a conversation with Chris about it, and we talked about starting potentially with even something more simple than that. So the T-pads can actually start off quite simple if we need to.
Sure.
It is possible to get some baskets into the ground very quickly. I mean, we appreciate and we thank you for your time. And every time we come here, I'm amazed at how complicated your lives are. And I just want to say this is a relatively simple plan. And the other thing I just wanted to mention also very quickly is the idea of, I think last time you maybe talked about a working group possibly being formed. I don't know if that's necessary. And I obviously know a lot of disc golfers who would be part of that working group. Those aren't the people I've talked to since your last meeting. I've talked to some abutters. And I've talked, there's the organization, what's the name, Sam, the mountain biking organization.
Never, yes.
There's a gentleman who goes out every time it snows. And he clears the path for mountain bikes. And he said that he would be part of a working group. So those are the people I've been trying to talk to. I want to find out, every project has opposition. We haven't really even gotten there yet. I think the opposition can be ameliorated. I think we can talk to them. I think we can educate them. But we do want to find the people who are potentially going to be impacted by this project. And if you're interested in putting together a working group, obviously, I know a lot of Needham disc golfers. I meet more every month. But I'm also reaching out to people who are not disc golfers, but use that area.
Well, and I think working group, but also part of the project, our process is often to reach out to the abutters of any of our projects. And so we would also reach out to the abutters and let them come and talk at any one of our meetings that we set up. It's usually a 300-foot radius of any of our projects we reach out to.
So there'd be a few houses in there now.
No,
But it'd be more than you think. But
Yeah.
There's always more neighbors than we
Chatty.
expect.
Right.
Yeah.
But thank you.
Okay.
That's
All
good
right,
to
so
know
it's on the future form and we will
Mhm.
keep it on our agenda, I guess. I'll turn this
Yeah,
back
no.
over to, sorry, Chris.
Keep it on the agenda. I mean, I think it's great to have discussion items, even if it's a 20-minute conversation or a 2-minute conversation. As long as it's on the discussion items, we'll keep it on there.
But I think also planning for if Claxton isn't an option or isn't possible to link to. the-
Right, and that
Right,
would be,
like what are the,
What
what
would we do that?
and is there funding that we could still piece together at the same time? I mean, thinking about contingency plans so that we're not putting all of our eggs in one
Yeah.
basket.
Right, 'cause I'm a little
Yeah.
skeptical as to what can be done with that other project,
Mhm.
but it would be nice if we could do something.
Yeah.
At least talk to them
the
about.
best.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think that's it, so, thank you.
The
Alright.
piece of paper that's going around is just taking track of, who's here.
All right. Going to the agenda, and I apologize, I'm looking at multiple screens here. We're now going to jump into the director's report. So Hannah and Stacy, I'm going to yield the floor to you two.
So I'm gonna go through as quickly as I can and yet still be thorough. So programming, our registration numbers are up, as you can see. Since March 1st, we've had over 1,100 program registrations. That's specifically not pool or court badges. And the court badges are just starting to jump. Last week we had a whole bunch. Of course we did, because it was beautiful and now it has died off, so there's those things. But that's an ongoing process. For our programming, our spring numbers, our spring programs have started, or will be starting next week. Again, I think we've had 3 weeks of tennis lessons on Saturday morning and Chris has only managed to run one of them because it only rains on Saturday mornings. Or it was only raining, and now it's raining all the time. So we've got quite a few adult spring programs. Our teen programs and youth programs are a little bit lower, but a lot of those ran over from the winter. April vacation programs are already filling up pretty quickly. And we have some spring events, so Kids Night Out, May and June, the Fishing Festival and Touch of Trucks, which we are on May 17th. And the Townwide Cleanup, which is on the first weekend in May. Also, our puzzle leagues, I promised Chris I would talk to you about it. We have a waiting list for our puzzle leagues. We had 10 groups of 4 teams. And we had 4 people on the waiting list, very upset that they could not get in. So
And that was like, that was low, there were like 2.
it
last
was, it
meeting.
started very low. Started very low and now we're already pretty
That-
booked up for the next one. Chris is like, I need to buy more puzzles. It's like, I don't know. For pool,
Just one quick thing,
Yes.
and I don't know if I didn't notice this before, but I think it's fantastic where you have the percentage of how we're filled. If that could be going forward of where we stand, I mean, I don't know if that's just something you brought up at this time, but I think it's great to see where we are at 100% and 25% and things like that. So we can look at where we are percentage wise and programs that, hey, we thought were going to be good or ones that we thought could be a little bit better. I think it's fantastic showing the percentage of where we are year to date.
happy to continue to do that.
Wonderful. Dina,
Anything? Oh,
still muted.
I'm having issues. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
I'll be really fast. Just wanted to give some feedback. That people loved the Touch a Truck at the new location this year, that it was very successful. Or did I say not Touch a Truck? Ooh, sorry. Oh my gosh, what happened this weekend you were just talking about? It was Touch a Truck, correct?
No.
That's the police
The
one.
police autism, day,
That was,
That-
that was.
okay,
one-
okay.
that was the police.
All right, I was confusing that for some reason. So nothing to see here. Move along.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Whatever that event was, it was very, very wide, happily received. And for some
I will
reason,
let NPD know.
thank you.
You're welcome.
Anything here that you're surprised at, Stacy, or that you were concerned about that, not the way you'd expected?
Everything's kind of falling where I expected. We did have some programs that didn't make the cut already. A lot of our coding programs. We've offered a lot, but they're off-site, so we get like 1 or 2 people. They still run, they're just other towns participate, and so. I don't put those on there because we always have 1 or 2 per group. And it doesn't affect our numbers really at all.
And do you expect the court badges? I mean.
I expect the
they're-
court badges to. I don't know where those are gonna go this year. It's gonna be a wait and see on that one.
Because of our court situation?
I think the court situation, I think, we don't have a very good ability to police them. And I think that is becoming, starting to affect the badges.
Mhm.
So I will be surprised if they drop. I did pull the numbers in that email that I sent you guys, earlier today. And 2 years in a row, we've been around $11,000 in court badges, which I think is more than I expected without pulling the numbers.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see where we fall this calendar year. And I did those numbers both on the pool P&L and then the quick numbers that I pulled earlier this morning. Calendar year is much more like, it makes more sense to look at it that way because that's when our programs fall. But I do put the fiscal year in there so that when it's time to report to FinCom and Davidson, then it makes sense on that side too, but. Nothing is jumping out at me quite yet.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Our pool passes, have had a huge jump. I think that's okay. The, discount, the 25% off discount has been, very popular. People are calling and saying, can you always sign up? I can't figure out how to sign up and I don't wanna miss the discount. I'm like, that's like 3 weeks away, but okay, I will help you. So that's good. We'll put out a reminder this coming week and say, just so you know, the discount's gonna drop as of April 15th, I think I picked. So I think those numbers at this rate, if you look at the pool passes, we're already halfway there.
Right.
Which is solid.
And the
Which
weather's
is
been
very
terrible.
solid, and the weather's been terrible, and again, if you look at the specific days, if it's a good weather day, and then you pull the report from MyRec on that day, the numbers are high. And the next day when it rains, the numbers are low. So it's just fascinating to watch.
Great job
Um,
there. That looks
Advertised in
awesome.
the, I'm sorry, Dina, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, great job on that, the amount of passes, that's impressive so far.
Do we also have this advertised in the weekly newsletter that comes out through the town?
Yes,
Yeah, I've seen that.
Perfect.
yeah.
Just want to make sure.
Summer camp's still quite early for these numbers, and we're working off of one less week this year because of the way the numbers, the weeks fall. Last year we were able to open a week before the 4th of July. This year we have to pick our dates based on how many snow days we think there might be, when school might end. And so this year we're gonna start the 30th, also because week 1 last year was so underwhelming as far as participation. We just, I mean, our ratios were like 1 staff to 2 kids across the board.
And that was.
For the first week out of
camp?
school,
Interesting.
for the
When
first
do
week of our.
schools get out, do you think, what's the schedule date, do you, is it that week of the
Sometime.
23rd?
It is, no, it's the week
No.
before.
Oh, it's like
December
16th or
15th
something.
The 15th.
The week before, we typically base it off of if there's 5 snow days, because we just don't know, and we had 1. But again, Chris and I had this conversation, and based on the numbers,
Didn't seem like the 23rd was the right
we
week.
didn't,
Hmm.
It would be a whole lot of staffing for.
it'd be a lot of
amount kids
staffing,
if people
and,
don't-
and,
Oh, okay.
you know, that we don't break even. And that is, with summer camps, we tend to make money, and if we're not breaking even, I have a hard time bringing all those kids in.
I think also the timing of the staff training is important and making
Yes.
sure that we're giving enough buffer of like
Yes.
when big events are happening and like
Mhm.
we can start the middle of May for that staff training, but you're gonna run into proms, you're gonna run into sports and things like that.
So, those numbers are still young, but, they're getting up there compared to last year, and I didn't put it in this one, but as we get closer to the summer, I'll put them side by side from 25 to 24, so that you guys can see the differences.
That's also with very minimal marketing. Like
On
that's-
camps, almost none.
That's just like from the brochure and people seeing it across MyRec, so,
Yeah,
um,
we haven't advertised camps at all. We've been
so
focused on the
that's
pools.
something
So
to,
it's pretty good.
yeah.
Grass fields continue to stay closed. I had a good conversation with Eddie this morning about like, we all know they're soaking wet, but also the nights are still cold, but the soils are cold, and this is my very rudimentary explanation of what Eddie told me this morning, but the grass can't grow when the seeds are cold and the soils are cold. It's just not warm enough. And so part of the rain is the biggest issue, but also we have quite a few fields, and Hannah sent a PowerPoint out today to everybody that Ed and Mike put together about, look at these fields and look at these bare areas, and that's what it is. The seeds aren't germinating because the soils are too cold.
Wow.
Well,
I
I'm
know.
very impressed. I got an email from Needham Soccer as a parent, and they
That's
sent this
lovely.
very nice, just like explaining why the fields are closed. They sent a PowerPoint. It was
Awesome.
just very well done. It's like, we know you're frustrated, but they need to rest.
They need to rest,
It was
right.
really, it
We're
was-
also frustrated, but.
yeah, exactly. It was,
We get a
but
lot
I've
of
never
phone
seen
calls.
them go into that. So I don't know if you guys drafted it, but it was very well done.
So I got a question. So I checked the weekend to see if the fields were open. And so on the 4th, it said it was closed.
Mhm.
Should there maybe be something saying that fields have not opened yet?
So we're working on a day-to-day basis right now, and we did send out something to the field user groups that said the fields are closed for the weekend. I'm not,
I saw that.
it wasn't updated on our website, which we should definitely do if we do close for the weekend. When the fields are open, we don't actually make the call on the weekends, the user groups do. We rely on the user groups to do it, so that's probably what's the oversight that we didn't update the website, but we did send an email out to all of our user groups,
Okay.
our permit holders that said, no, stay off them, it's too wet.
Okay. And
So
the
I
other
get
thing
it.
is there any projection about when they might be open?
No, Ed and I are talking about this and it's hard, and one of the difficult things is we could have 1 or 2 nice days, but to open them and then close them again for 3
Yeah,
days,
no,
that's
I-
really difficult. And the weather forecast this week is Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, decent, great weather. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, rain. And so we're just keeping an eye on the Weather Channel and trying to make our best guess, and Eddie and his team are walking the fields and they're just mush.
Yeah,
Like you just walk out there and it's like,
so sloppy.
they're just, they don't have time to dry out. Before the next rain's coming in, so it's interesting.
It's so hard to believe we're in a drought.
And
You can only,
fascinating, but yes, we are.
and you can only do what you can do. I mean, we can't, I would think, I think most people are understanding. I mean, you know, the weather is the weather, and, you know, you could cancel and then have it not rain and be fine, but like, I think everybody at this point understands the importance of keeping our fields the way they are and
Mhm.
and nice, and so yeah, that email was sent nice and early on Friday and very informative, so thank you.
The last thing I will say about it is, and I know this probably isn't the popular thing, but if Wellesley and Dedham and Newton, they have their fields open, good for them. I mean, if they want to wreck their fields early, go right ahead. I think we have the trust in our park and, rec director and assistant director to work with the park and forestry department to determine what's the best for our fields. And just because everyone else is doing it doesn't mean we have to do it. And it is frustrating, but it's going to be better for everybody. And this is why we don't open fields as much as we can, because we want to preserve what we have.
I mean, can't the turf get oversaturated at some point too?
It would take a lot. Technically,
Okay.
yes.
That 1,000-year storm.
Okay.
And nice, now we're gonna get it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks,
Great job, Dee.
thanks, Chris.
Yeah,
No,
I
that
know,
was
you
you.
said
Never
That was
flood,
you.
boom.
Skip ahead, skip
Okay,
ahead.
so for the tennis and pickleball courts, they're open. We are waiting on some parts to upgrade some of our tennis, like the center thing for the nets and some cranks for the tennis courts. We did buy all new pickleball courts for Mills, those.
You mean nets?
Pickleball.
Thank
Yeah, I
you.
was gonna
What did
say
say?
nets.
Courts.
Good.
Nets, got nets for the Mills, those should be getting out there tomorrow and Wednesday. The pool opening, we're still looking to open May 17th, so. The first couple weeks of the pool opening during the week will be lap swim only, and then in the afternoon will be a lot of training and, as soon as it's warm enough, get our swim team tryouts in, but and then we'll open on the weekends. All of this will be weather permitting. We do have, it looks like we have enough staff to open for the lap swim, and Weston Sampson has assured us that they will be an open in time. They obviously cannot guarantee any more than I can how warm the water will be on May 17th, but that is our big push. And then to open like our full hours once the kids are out of school, because that means our lifeguards are also out of school, so we can open full
Mhm.
hours. And then we will do like we did last year, and our official last date is August 31st or whatever that Sunday is. And we will hold as many hours as possible with the staff as they begin to dwindle. So we start losing them around the second and third week of August. We didn't actually have to shorten our hours to the last week last year. So we did okay, and so we'll just continue to do that moving forward, so. It's a longer season, but the beginning and end, as always, will be a little bit adjusted.
So that takes you through Labor Day weekend. That's
Yep.
right. That's Labor,
Yeah,
September 1st is Labor Day.
Yep.
Okay, great.
And obviously, we'll keep track of entries and people coming in and daily passes and see, like, moving forward, does it make sense for us to open early for lap swim? Like, is it a thing that we should bring staff in, or do we? Because every year is different, everybody's like, open early, and then we open early and people don't come.
I feel like we get such feedback, I mean, every year about not being open, like
Yeah.
everyone quotes.
Yeah.
inaccurate dates of how many
Yes.
dates are open. So I think we open.
Yep.
And we see what happens. If people aren't there, it might be because they've
We'll stay
paid for
open,
something,
but
because
we'll
we didn't think they'd be
keep
open,
track of
like.
it and make sure.
The longer we can be open,
Yeah.
because this would be the longest we've been open since it's
Yes.
open, so we should just.
Maybe
lock
forever.
that in.
Right.
Yeah.
And the hardest
Cannot
part
work.
will be, and just so you are all aware, is on May 19th, when it's like 85 degrees and beautiful, we will get 100 emails of why we're not open after school.
Yeah.
And the
Yeah.
answer is because we need to train ourselves.
Right.
And we can't just like all of a sudden like plan ahead, so, you know, we'll do our best to keep an eye on the weather and do what we
Mhm.
can, but we'll open as much as we can.
I think it's great.
Dina, you have your hand raised.
I just have a quick question. For lap swim, typically, like, how many lifeguards would you need for that? You probably wouldn't need a ton, right?
So we usually have 2 or 3.
Okay,
Because we have water walking, so we have 1 guard on the lap pool, 1 guard on the family pool, and then 1 off, so they can rotate.
yeah,
So
okay, so it's not like you
Right.
need a ton of staff for that.
no, and like during the regular open swim, we need about 18, so it's a big difference.
Yeah,
Like how many we need for lap swim versus what we need in the afternoons.
right, okay, cool, thank you.
Summer staffing, so camp staff, Chris is so close to done. He's doing great, he did have 3 people drop out at the last minute, no surprise there, it always happens, but that's why we make sure we get the offers back before we cut anybody else loose. But we did have to turn away quite a few people this year, it's one of the first times Chris had to come to me and say, how do I write a rejection email? And I was like, here you go, this is how we do
But
it.
not for pool staff.
No, not for pool staff,
No.
not yet. We're doing much better than we were. I'm feeling less like I have an ulcer, so that's good. We have more booth kids than we ever need.
But I think this is the first year that Rosemary's had to turn off the booth, like as an option for
Yep.
applying.
You can no longer apply to be a
So-
booth person because we've had too many applicants.
Wow,
When would you like
We
to
do
get
reach out to
started?
all of them and say, how's it going?
Question.
Yeah.
And will you be 16 this summer?
Yeah,
Because in the state of Massachusetts, you have to be 16 years old to be a lifeguard, so. We're doing pretty good, but it's still a work in progress, and I've talked to a lot of our colleagues, same thing, everybody. I mean, not everybody's hiring 57 lifeguards, some of them are hiring 10. And those people are still struggling, so I think we're doing pretty good. As of this writing on Friday, we had 26 lifeguards secured, so
Awesome.
that's pretty good.
what's a WSI, Stacy?
It stands for Water Safety Instructor, it's a swim lesson teacher.
Thank you.
Yep. Budget and finance, CPC. CPC has been approved to move forward the Action Sports Park and Elliott, and the next steps will be May town meeting. Let's see where they go from there.
But do you know who's presenting at town meeting?
Yeah, I do, but not off the top of my head. I do have an email about
Was
it.
it Keith?
Keith is doing the Action Sports Park,
Oh, Keith LaFace?
yes, and I don't know about Elliott off the top.
Okay.
And then field fees, Nikki has cleared up 99.9% of fall field fees, and so now she's working backwards just to make sure that we're not missing any few things. Soccer. Her and Mark have been besties the last couple weeks, and like Mark's like, we didn't pay this, and she's like, okay, I have this, but I don't have this, so I think soccer's almost all up to date. Which has been great, and now she's gonna kind of go back and make sure we haven't missed any things, or if people like were, you know, oh yeah, I'll pay you next week, and then I totally forgot to follow up, so she's gonna go back in the rears and make sure that's all getting done. One of the things I wanna take one moment to say on staffing is not seasonal staff, but Dom is leaving us. He has given us his 2 weeks and he is moving on,
So he
so.
just came back.
Yes, he did, but he's ready to move on. I mean, it's not a position that we would expect people to stay at more than 2 years, so. We have already put in the paperwork to start the interviewing process for that, so just wanted to give everybody a heads up.
make sure to schedule my interview.
Schedule your interview, yeah, you're right. The pool's P&L, this was done, as you guys all know, FinCom asked me for this. This is the last page of the spreadsheet that I sent you guys, so this is just the
Look at that.
nuts and
ice cream
bolts.
Sales.
Ice
With
cream
ice
sales.
cream sale.
Saved us
Like
every time.
last year was massive.
Yeah.
Was it like
You're
good
welcome.
choice?
I know, good job, Pam.
We had an ice cream of the week,
Oh, love it.
and it's marketing is a fascinating thing.
Oh, yeah.
I
Especially
got a
when
full
children
menu.
are-
Yeah,
I
menu
really
board,
liked it.
special of the week,
I love it.
staff pick of the week,
Everyone wants it.
everybody.
So when we planned this pool, the goal was to try to break even, not to lose 190,000. But the opening and closing costs of the pool, much, much higher than ever projected. Even though we used the company that built the pool, right, it is much, much higher, and I think that is the biggest difference. But hopefully this year we'll have some turnaround on the revenue side.
Right.
Yeah, I think the revenue dropping and I think, you know, I've talked to FinCom and Katie about this, you know, when we opened, it was like. The biggest thing since sliced bread in all of Massachusetts, and we had a banner year, right? And then
Right.
COVID hit. And so we had nothing. And then 21, we were kind of open, but not really. And 22, people were still buying memberships. They may not be coming as much. And then 23, it was like, and they were gone. And 24. And so I
Yeah.
think, you know, that's part of it. But I also think we gotta see where the season passes go versus the daily passes, see if we can get those flipped. And the other thing that hurt us this year is the 5-year warranty on 99% of the tiny pieces to the very large pieces of the pool has run out. So prior to 24, if something broke, we could get it under warranty, get it replaced. Now we pay for that. And so those numbers are gonna start to creep up more. We have to start changing the budget requests for those types of things.
Mhm.
And that's why Dave came to us about updating the athletic field.
Okay.
fund. Claxton project moving along.
Could we talk about Mr. Chair, can we talk about the program revenue at some point?
Oh, yep,
Since, our director sent it, I don't know if you're gonna do it at this point or not.
probably makes most sense. I can share it. You guys see that?
Yes.
Not yet. There it is.
So once again, this is from calendar year 24, is in column B, and the fiscal year, which crosses our big times, although it is more when we run our programs,
Mhm.
okay? So programs, for the purposes of MyRec, are literally everything that is not a pool badge, a court badge, or like a daily fee, ice cream, things like that, that are like daily products.
Point of sale.
Point of sale, thank you. So it's our programs, it's our field fees, it's literally everything else that I could pull in a very quick report. What I would like to do is, I've already started doing a P&L for the camps, and the next step would be to do P&L for the programs, but that is going to be a very tedious, lengthy process, because you have to go in program by program. You can't just pull a report and then take everything out of it. It's not that high tech, MyRec. It is more
Okay.
user friendly, but not high tech. So this is a very broad stroke on your numbers of where we are. I think, you're right, we do spend a lot of money on the pools, but we also take in a lot of money.
And we've taken a lot of money in these programs, which was the intent when we built that recreation complex. And if you look at this, it's anywhere from 800 to 900,000, depending on how you cut the year. And it seems as though those programs are extremely profitable. It's not the same cost structure as the pool. So there is a lot of money, I think, relatively, that we bring. We're one of the few revenue producing departments, right, in the
Yep.
town, and probably the biggest once you get outside of tax revenue,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
So I think it's important that, you know, the staff gets credit for that, because there's a lot of work that goes into it, but it's, you know, we bring in $1.1 million to $1.2 million in revenue. And while the pools have been losing money, the programs should be very profitable.
they are. And one of the things that came to light today is where treasurers reached out and they're like, we're looking for this one charge in 2023. Can you help us? And I was like, oh boy. So we haven't located it, but we think it is, and it was one of the things I wanted to bring to your attention, is our credit card fees are, so roughly 3% of our revenue goes out to credit card fees, and so You know, I was talking to a new software company that wants us to switch, and they were like, well, you can pass on those fees, those credit card fees to the users. And I was like, look, I'm a parent that signs up for a lot of things. If you telling me I'm paying an extra $1 to use my credit card, I'm gonna drive my check to your house and give it to you. Because I'm that person. If you build it into the fee, I'm gonna pay it every time. Like, please don't tell me. And so I've talked to a lot of different towns, and the people that separate and tell the people what their user fee is, their credit card fee, get a lot more checks.
Really?
Yes,
Oh.
because I think it depends on the community, certainly. So we have always built them into our fee. So while we get that deduction every month, we are aware of it when we price point each program.
Thank you.
I think it was just the Claxton project, that was left, and then I also sent you late. Because I was technically off on Friday and things were coming in at me and I was trying to ignore them, but the tennis courts are down completely.
Yes, saw that. Fenced up.
Claxton projects, everything's in, the irrigation is supposed to be done this week, and they're gonna start paving the pathways Wednesday, if depending on where they got in the next couple days, so. The irrigation should be finished up and the stone goes over it, and then the field goes back on top.
And then all the dirt piles. get distributed.
All
You
the
drive
dirt
by,
piles.
It's like, who does?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
Like you see this, and you're like, wow, Claxon does not look like that.
Yeah.
Right.
Like,
But-
you have to hear
Yep.
where the dirt mounds.
You really have to get in there to find out.
And I'm
yeah.
so tempted to drive in when the gates are open. And I'm like, no, and they go, "Somebody's gonna come yell at me and say, I know, and I just drive in and just please give me a hat.
It's really hard, yeah.
And I got, last week I got the keys to the storage area for both dugout storages, so we have those now, similar to what we have over at McLeod, so. We're certainly moving along there.
And I know it's not funny, Mr. Chairman, but it is a little funny if you think about how much those softball people were upset with us. Because we had what they said, such terrible softball fields. And now we're hearing from the baseball side that, gee, it's not fair that the baseball kids don't have the great field. So, I mean, that was the argument from the softball parents. I feel like it was just 2 years ago, wasn't it?
I was.
Yeah, so it's not, it's a little bit funny, I guess, right?
Stacey, are we still doing live meetings or walkthroughs with the construction and group every other Friday, or is it every Friday?
Not at liberty to share that schedule with you. I'm just kidding.
Hey, like, isn't it on the next slide?
No, the next slide's the tennis court timeline. We are meeting this coming Friday.
Okay,
We're making decisions based on Jimmy's progress, basically. We're not gonna meet just to meet. We're gonna wait until he's made some decent progress, so.
what time are those usually, those meetings? Just in case any of the commissioners want to join.
9 AM.
Okay,
Oh, yeah. It's the one day I come in late. And that's it for the director's report.
okay.
The one thing I tacked on at the end, which is right after the director's report in your packet, is the timeline, the estimated timeline for the tennis court project. And yes, we are aware of the fireworks and the Exchange Club, and I've been meeting with the Exchange Club and the fire department and everybody, about access to the shooting areas. Sorry, the launch area.
Thank you for addressing it.
It's like the what? All right, great. Any follow-up, any questions or comments or concerns from the commission in regards to the director's report? Okay, moving on to the discussion items. I know we touched on disc golf. Is there any other follow-ups or questions, comments, concerns? Okay, going through the discussion items, we have commission policies, no real new updates, commission goals, no new real updates, CPC, you let us know in the director's report. Oh, you have your hand raised.
Pause. I'm not sure we need to dig into it, but we should set aside some time during one of the next meetings to talk about those goals
Yes.
and update
Yes.
them and responsibilities and things like that. So maybe at the next meeting, we can set aside some time. Maybe I'll move it up in the discussion items so that it's one of the first.
Yeah.
And I'll reattach.
Definitely. Okay, no, that's great.
Well, one question, with the CPC. It's gonna be, in the future, we might have to think of other sources of revenue to. Cause money's very tight with the CPC they're putting a lot of money into housing right now.
Yeah.
So
As
just
they
something to
should.
be aware of.
No, it's great. Great to know that. Anything else in regards to CPC, Jim? Or are you good?
Nope, everything else is hopefully, town meeting will go well.
Fingers crossed. Memorial Day tournament. I know we just put this as more of a placeholder as we talked about disc golf and other items, but no new real updates, correct, from anybody? Nope, okay. Newman Playgrounds. I know at our last meeting, there was a parent that came in regards to the kindergarten side of the playground that there was a rip. Do we have any update of if there is something that could be done to fix or remedy the situation?
Yes.
Okay, let's hear
Well, two things happened. One, we're getting quote for what they're called playground mats and can look at them up at some point, but basically playground mats go over mulch or turf. And you have to do the entire playground. It is 100% accessible. It's not the port in place that we would like as we renovate all the playgrounds, but it is a holdover. It's a Band-Aid, and once they are movable. So if we put them at Newman and then we finally get funds to do the port in place, we can take them up and put them somewhere else. So they are movable.
This would be for the kindergarten or the preschool side,
It
not
would be all of the turf, not the preschool side. It would be the other
the other
The
side,
preschool
okay.
side's gonna get port in place,
Okay.
but we're also looking at them at Elliott and Broadmeadow because I was called this week because NEDP had to close their playgrounds to the kids during after school. NED is licensed under a different licensing state and they're much more strict about their fibers, and so. We spent $10,000 on those two playgrounds alone last year, just on fibers, that's not including the labor to spread them. And we are purchasing $8,000 worth of fibers that will be delivered hopefully by the end of the week, but then we have to pay usually DPW to spread them, so. Purchasing these mats will diminish the need to replace. Once you put them on the mulch, you don't have to change them until you renovate them or completely rebuild them.
How, it just feels like Newman is not that. I guess it's that old, right? Like but we had,
It's
when
the-
we were ranking the playgrounds, Newman fared fairly well.
The playground is phenomenal.
It's actually great. I went over there.
Yeah.
On a weekend,
the-
weekend before last or two,
Yeah,
and
it's
it's in good shape, but I talked to some of the parents.
Right.
And they
We
were
never had
really
it.
happy with it. There
Yeah.
are a few places where there is either a worn spot or a tear.
It is
And-
100% just the turf.
But it's just the turf because
So
the
you're talking about
fixtures look great.
Sorry,
the turf is the
the
field down
grass.
below.
No, I'm sorry.
Fake grass.
So the
So
Newman
Underneath the
playground,
big, yeah,
underneath the playground features
Yeah.
is. It's
you're saying it's
basically,
turf.
it's turf.
Okay.
It's not that kind of turf. It's like
Yeah.
indoor outdoor carpeting turf.
But yeah, it just feels like to have to. Put something fully over
Yeah.
every piece of it seems.
But I think you can't really patch it.
Right,
So,
would you trip
So
over it?
when that went in, that was a big thing that was a new idea, was turf playgrounds. Now they're ripping and nobody will guarantee a patch job.
Yeah.
We could do the entire thing, which would cost almost as much as port in place,
Got
which obviously we don't have. This is gonna be it's not gonna be cheap, but it's not that, it's gonna be much less expensive and will last much longer, cause. The playground, it's not gonna hit renovation time for a long time because the playground's in such good.
Right. that
But
was
the
my
mats
concern.
will,
Easily.
the mats will get us there.
I talked to one parent and he said, I'm here with my 3 boys, and I said, well, what do you think of it? What are your complaints? He goes, this is the playground they ask for the most. This is where we come, and his kids, I'd say, are elementary school age
Yeah,
roughly,
yeah,
from like
they're-
maybe
they're
5 to
9,
8
7
or
and
9,
5.
yeah, something like. He's like, this is the one they ask for the most, this is where we come.
Yeah, yeah.
But there are some worn spots where you could trip.
Yeah,
Not a lot of them, but enough.
Right.
That should, they should be addressed.
Well, and the water's gonna get in them and it's gonna become a bigger
gonna get
issue,
worse.
it's gonna be a
Right.
whole thing, so if we
Yeah.
can fix it, then we'll fix it. Sorry, that's it. Oh, the other thing is the Newman called and said, they talked to me about the fact that they don't let their kindergartners on the big playground, and I said, why? Because it's aged correctly for kindergartners. And they're like, what are you talking about? That's not the information we have, and so I sent them all the information, and now they're letting the kindergartners go on. the other side.
Alrighty then.
The person was like, I really wish I had called you sooner, I'm like, that's what I'm here for.
My kids survived Newman Playground.
So-
They were both-
That's done, there's no real updates yet on McLeod, I'm waiting for a meeting to be set. About the backstop.
Okay.
But once that's set, I can let you all know.
But I think we discussed at the last meeting that nothing will be done this spring season. This is something
Right.
that the
Okay.
summer, fall.
Yeah.
Okay.
Are we talking about the backstop or what are we talking, the one that impedes a view?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. We're not removing those, correct? For now?
We don't know. We're not removing
For
them
this season though, right? Okay.
We're not touching the field, there's not a chance we can get to it, but it is a conversation between the town manager's office, us and DPW about what's the next steps, because. We can't see them.
Yeah, will you, I have kind of strong opinion about that, so about whether we remove those or not, because it is a big safety issue. So I'm sure you'll keep us posted, right, Stacy, about that? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Nothing planned or set in stone, it's just a conversation of, right now, DPW is getting the cost breakdown for all of our options. To
Okay.
see what it costs to raise
Thank
the stands, move them, bring down the
Okay.
pads, all the different things. So I
Gotcha.
do not have that document yet, but
gotcha.
when I
Okay.
do, I can.
Thank you.
Great. Anything else in regards to discussion items? All right, hearing none, we'll now move to the action items and approvals that we do have some special events to go through. Let me scroll down here in the, no, went way too quickly on that one. All right, first one I think I see is the early morning yoga. Is that right?
Yes.
All right, early morning yoga, 7 to 8 by the Needham Community Education at the High Rock Multipurpose Field. Now this is after school gets out, so there will be no kiddos there at the school.
Correct.
Hi, Rob.
What's the fee on that?
So what now?
No, it's, we don't charge them.
They don't charge?
No, we
wouldn't
don't charge them because they're,
I think I brought the same thing up last month.
yes.
Last time.
Oh, there's not gonna be any fees on here. Dom filled this out for me because I was out Friday.
So we don't
And
know if. there's
I didn't
fees.
update any of the fees, so I
Okay.
will go back and do that for you guys, so you're aware.
I
But
think it's more like if there is a fee, just.
If
give
there
me
is,
that.
I will update you. I'm
Right,
sorry
doesn't
about
matter
that.
what it
But there wouldn't be a fee.
I just noticed, I was like, none of them have.
is.
Is this something they've done before?
NCE has been requesting some newer classes here and there. They've done a drone class, they've done a few other classes on the fields. Typically it doesn't impact any of our program, any of our classes or permits.
Okay. I mean,
Need a
I'm-
motion?
Pretty much taken offline in the spring, in the summertime, except for the ball field.
right,
My first question to them would be where at High Rock Multipurpose, because if they're only looking for 10 people, they're not looking for the entire field, and High Rock is actually one of our fields that is struggling right now, so. I may either pick a very specific part for them or ask them to go to a different location.
Okay.
I sometimes suggest Hillside to them because it's least used, honestly, but.
Unless they're looking for shade, any kind of shade.
Yeah, that's the only,
Right.
plus
They
I'm
could
about to
find
drop
it.
$8,000 worth of engineered wood fibers at Hillside,
Yeah.
so we can spread them. Heads up.
I mean, I'll make an emotion to approve early morning yoga with, like the contingency that they'll let you know, Stacy, where on the multi-purpose they're planning on using.
Sounds good.
And then your
Second.
discretion if you think that's an okay location.
Okay,
I'll second that motion.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All right, hearing none, we gotta do a roll call vote on this one, so I'll do. This is gonna be messed up. I'll do the people in the room first. Jim,
Aye.
Cindy,
Aye.
Michelle,
Aye.
Dina.
Aye.
I will also say aye as the chair, so it passes unanimously. All right, going on to the next one. Community Center Field Day for Sunday, June 15th from the Needham Community Center, or the Community Center of Needham, excuse me. Conroy
Wait.
inside the track.
Isn't this the same as Ultimate Frisbee Father's Day, people?
Yes.
Yes, thank you.
Oh.
I was like, wait, this
They're
is the
having
same
a-
thing.
Same thing. So have we already approved this or?
We approved it with. I needed to reach out to the group and I don't have that paperwork with me.
So they've already submitted this again for a second time.
I don't-
So it's right here.
I don't know what the question is.
I had submitted in the event planner, and then I was asked to resubmit it using the Park and Rec Google form. So I didn't see it
Got it.
approved in the first one, so then I put
Then
it
you
in.
put it in the second one.
So
So the short answer is yes, we approved it. I
Yeah.
needed to just get a few details on just some little things, but I can reach out to you after.
and we can work out
Yeah.
those details.
Yeah. Got it.
Okay.
So moving on.
I'll make a
Looking
motion to
forward to
approve.
It's already been approved.
think
you
It's
don't-
just
Okay,
a
perfect.
formality.
We're good. Thank you for coming.
Yes, thank
Sorry,
you.
you sat through this for this event, sorry.
Appreciate it though, really do. All right, next one we have is the holiday celebration for Sunday, May 4th at the Memorial Park Diamond through the Icon.
No conflicts?
There are plenty of conflicts.
Oh, I have to, I don't see them. Oh, wait, never mind. Yes, I do. I'm looking at mine. Yep.
He didn't put that there are conflicts. He is wrong.
Oh,
That's
wait,
a
I'm
different
looking at something
situation.
different. Hold on a second.
So Sunday, May 4th, at all of the fields that they're requesting, the field is booked. And I can tell you that in the Sunday is tops on Sunday or Saturday.
I think it's on Sunday.
Top soccer
Soccer is on
yes.
our Sunday
is Sunday,
afternoon.
isn't it?
Yeah, so we cannot bounce them, so if
No.
you want to approve this, we would have to,
No,
we can't bounce them, but
we
that's.
can't bump top soccer.
No, I'm just saying we would have to look for a different location if. at
Oh,
all
gotcha.
possible.
Can we go back to the group and ask for an alternate location that would satisfy the request?
Have they done this before?
They have moved this to a few different places.
I was gonna say, where have we done it before? Cause I feel like I've seen this
I think this
before.
is a green.
And I also
Oh,
think we
okay.
need to dig into, I don't know enough about this holiday, but I wanna make sure that it's not a religious holiday, because we can't approve religious events.
Mhm.
I'm pretty
Um,
sure it is.
Don't know, and I wanna not just Google it, I would like to
Yeah.
reach out to some
Right.
who will actually know the answer to that.
Yeah.
Right.
So I'm gonna put that on my list, and if it is not a religious event, then I will reach out to the group and find out, we'll look at that's a big weekend for many different events, so I will talk to them about location and possibly days.
Alternate
It
location.
doesn't look like there's
Thank you.
activities. It just looks like a gathering.
It
So
is a
in terms of
Mhm.
access to fields, it might just be more space than.
It's definitely space, and then they would have to do permit for food and things like that, so they'd
It
have to
seems like there could be
connect them.
flexibility.
But we've done it before?
It had
Or-
been done in the past.
Got it.
Ah.
Okay, I mean, it looks
But
like it's a holiday that was celebrated.
Somebody at town manager's office brought, we
But
were
it could be
discussing a
something-
different
okay.
events, so
Okay,
that one came up.
so we will not take any action on
Not
this
any
one?
action.
We will
Yeah,
refer
and
this
I
back to the
will-
user.
Yeah,
Okay,
and I'll reach out to them this week because that is gonna be a quick turnaround, that's gonna sneak us.
great,
Sneak
that's
up
not
on
far,
pretty
the
quickly.
date's close.
So I'll make sure that's on my tomorrow list.
Okay,
The Grace Preparatory Jogathon, this is as far as I know, a private school in Needham on Greendale Ave. that hilariously would like to use the track during the very beginning of the Memorial Day tournament.
Oh, okay.
Shouldn't be a
Yeah, that's a
problem.
no.
Yeah, we'll
So
just,
I think for,
Oh,
I'm not sure that we would approve it that under our guidelines anyway,
Anyway.
but it's certainly not that weekend. I mean, it's on a Thursday, but they're
That's
gonna
what
be
they
setting
have,
up.
they get
They're
their,
already there.
yeah.
the
okay.
setup and everything that's going on, so yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
Have fun.
before I reach out to them and say that location's not gonna work, or any location that weekend, would we ever entertain this from this group?
I think they're a private school and they're for profit, right?
At a quick glance, that is what I saw. too.
Yeah, I would
But-
say no.
Okay,
Okay,
Relay for Life,
oh, this is back again, this is fantastic.
No conflicts.
How many years have we been doing this, or they've been doing this?
100.
Long,
Okay.
long time.
Almost, let's say.
I love this
They
event.
have requested, and I politely told them not this year. They would like a different location, something more centrally located where people can see it. They did ask for Memorial. I said, absolutely not this year. But that may be coming down, that may be a conversation we're gonna have after this year, because they want more awareness.
I think it
Yeah.
has been for a way
Has it?
back, right? I feel like many years ago.
It's never been there since I've been
No,
here,
not
so,
since you've been here, but I'm pretty sure that I attended way back. when-
so I did
Don't
say,
it?
let's keep it this year because there's too much going on, but I
Yeah.
would talk to Eddie and everybody else.
I'll make a motion to approve Relay for Life.
All right, I have a motion, do I hear a second?
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second, any further discussion? Hearing none, we're gonna put this up for a roll call vote, Jim,
Hi,
Cindy,
I,
Michelle,
Aye.
Dina?
I,
The chair is also an aye, so it passes unanimously. Next up,
need a
Needham
baseball.
baseball,
softball
softball.
opening day.
Okay. Same as always.
Yep, I'll make a motion to approve.
I hear a
I'll
motion.
second.
Second, okay, hear a motion
second.
second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll go to a roll call vote. Jim,
hi,
Cindy,
I,
Michelle,
Aye.
Dina?
I,
I will abstain from this vote. So we have a 4 for the event and 1 abstention.
Can I
One.
just ask one clarification for that one? Just the permits are. We're still allowing men, like the men's adult soccer, all of that. They can park in the parking lot.
Yes.
Everything stands, because I think it's noon
Yes.
they're out, so
Yeah.
all of that is fine.
Yep. Everything sort of kind of happens as is, and this kind of meanders through, so,
Just checking, so I'm gonna have to be there and
so sorry.
I don't want the leash on.
we've had incidents.
I know.
Just
Mhm.
checking.
Um,
Rules.
The next event is hilarious.
yeah.
Yes, I read this one.
Yoga.
The Needham
Yoga
High
dog.
School Student
Yoga.
Council Dog Yoga Fundraiser.
Are the dogs gonna be there? Because we don't allow dogs at the park.
There it is.
Thank you, bingo. Any
You know
park
what
that
else
has
we
a.
don't allow? You know
What?
what else we don't allow? Unleashed dogs.
Oh,
Right.
yes.
Even on the
Yes.
parks where we let the dogs be, they can't be unleashed. So unless they're doing it at the dog park, we cannot allow this.
Oh, which is
No.
so
Yeah, so do you need a
Yeah.
motion to deny?
Could be, no, they can't even do it in the parking lot, right, because it's the whole facility is.
Here?
You wouldn't have parking now if you were
Right.
trying to get people.
Like we tell with the.
But the
But not again, we're not doing.
They could not do it at Memorial in the parking lot. I guess
Yeah.
we could entertain it, but they still have to be on leashes.
Right, they have to be, out. Yeah.
So
Is it hard for them to do yoga?
I'm
I
guessing
think
something's
we
gonna, I think it's gonna be hard for the person. The dog will be fine.
Couldn't
I
they do it
mean, we
inside the
talked-
gym at the school?
What?
Couldn't they do it inside the gym at the school?
Would you? No.
They don't want the
Don't be
donations.
silly.
I'm just saying, I'm like, if it's a controlled environment, if they want to let them off leash, let them off on leash in the
It'll
gym.
scratch the floors up,
But all
the
they're
claws.
they're gonna wreck the floors.
Okay, then
It's not
great.
real.
What
I'm
about
just-
the Rosemary?
Just
Alright,
Parking lot, the upper parking.
make a motion to
go ahead.
deny.
Dina. All right, we have a motion to deny. Do I hear a second?
That is correct.
There's a motion on the floor. I think Dina. made
There is a motion on the floor. Do I hear a
To
second?
deny the dog yoga.
Well,
photo.
Vote.
You have to email them, Dina.
We can just not.
I'll reach out to them and
Yeah,
say, I'm
I
so
know.
sorry.
I
Do
mean,
you have
we can
another
just not
idea?
take any
This
action.
is very cute, but it can't be here.
I mean, it's very cute and I'm a dog lover, believe me.
I love it,
But
but
no.
we can't approve something that's against the bylaws.
Right.
Exactly,
Yeah.
right,
Done deal.
right.
That's pretty simple then.
Alright. West Fest.
What is this?
Sunita PTC Fest. Same as always.
Okay.
Yeah, they do this every year.
Michelle made a motion, I'll second it.
Wait, pause.
Okay, we'll pause.
Do you wanna do the next three all together? Cause they're all PTC end of year. Events.
Fabulous, yes.
Any craziness, June.
End of year
What Broad Meadow,
picnic,
one at Sunita.
carnival.
Broadmeadow doesn't get utilized during, Memorial.
That's
They
not
do.
Memorial, that's the following weekend.
That's not Memorial Day. Memorial Day is the
So-
week
The
before.
Broadmeadow one?
So,
Yeah,
May
so
30th.
the
May 30th.
Williams School is Saturday, June sixth. June sixth is a Friday.
Yes,
So is it supposed to be Friday, June sixth? It
yes.
says Saturday, June sixth.
No, it's on a Friday.
It's on a Friday, okay.
Mine says Friday, June 6th. Weird.
That's Broadmeadow.
Weekend.
Broad Meadows,
No,
May
that-
30th.
Oh my God. Maybe we
No, there's
should
two
do
different
them all at the
Broad
same
Meadows.
time. Let's do them one at a time since we can't even get the dates right.
There is a May.
Are
Alright,
we on
okay.
Sunita right now?
Yes.
I will make a motion to approve Sunita Williams.
With the caveat that they change the correct date, please.
Correct.
Got
All
it.
right, motion with a adjustment. Do I hear a second?
Second.
All right, I have a motion, a second. We will do them all at the same time. We also have, can I get a motion for the Broad Meadow end of year picnic for Friday, June 6th?
I'll make a motion.
Do I hear a second?
Second,
Okay, thank you. Third one we have up here is Broad Meadow PTC Carnival for Friday, May 30th. Do I hear a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Do I hear a second?
second,
All right. Any further discussion on the three that we have in front of us? Hearing none, I will take a roll call vote for all three PTC events at two different schools. I will do a roll call vote starting with Jim,
Aye.
Cindy,
Aye.
Michelle,
aye,
Dina.
Aye.
Chair is also aye, so all three of them pass unanimously.
I have
Thank you.
a lot of feelings about the next one.
Okay,
So,
we have some email requests of, or if I could word it that way, possible functions at the Rosemary Recreation Complex. Stacey, do you want to give us a little background on this or just read through the emails?
I can give you a quick background, but it's not too much more than what, here, hang on one second. I just wanna make sure that I'm seeing who's in the audience and that we don't have any questions. Oh, it's just us now. Okay, so, this person would like to rent the Rosemary Recreation Center complex for their child's bar mitzvah. And we don't have hard and fast guidelines on the room right now to be rented for people to use it for these things. And so I brought it to Chris and he said, "Well, let's bring it to the commission because we are getting more. There's another one coming at you behind it. Somebody else has reached out about something similar. I don't know if it's a bar mitzvah or anniversary. I don't remember what it is, but we are getting more of these request, and I just wanted to bring it to you and see what we wanted to do. So the guidelines for the room are, they were never officially voted for that particular usage. There was some draft stuff, but it never went through. It was just specifically for Needham user groups and programs, things like that at schools.
I mean,
Um, This is obviously an outside person, so.
I tend to want to keep it to Needham user groups and things and not for private parties. I think that first of all, they're going to have food, they're gonna have alcohol, they have to get, health permits. There's a lot of moving pieces. And I just think if we open that door, you're gonna get inundated with requests for this room, for things like that. I mean, technically, it's a religious event. So, and listen, I myself am Jewish, so it's nothing against anything. But I just think it opens up a can of worms. I think we need to keep it to, smaller user group schools. You guys, it's just my feeling.
Hannah has her hand up and I have a devil's advocate retort.
Do you wanna go first?
Sure. The PTC did hold an event in there where they did have music, food, beer, alcohol, all of that. So it has been done within the schools as well. So it's not uncommon. And I know when it opened, the town did something as well, similar. But PTCs have done it for this, not for bar mitzvahs, but for a fundraising event. And it went off as seamless as any event in a town building.
That's
I
good
mean,
to
they
know.
pay for all the permits, they pay for the overtime, they do all the things.
That is
That
good to
does
know.
fall into the guidelines.
PTC is different than a
I
private.
don't-
Very
I-
different.
100%.
I don't think it, but number one, I don't think it's religious, it's a party. The bar mitzvah is.
Oh, no, I'm just saying
Oh,
that,
no, no,
that
And,
kind of,
and we're looking
alcohol
for, I mean, I think we need to be looking for more revenue. And
that is the
I
devil's
mean-
advocate.
We do,
Uh,
but I think this will just open up so much. I mean, people will be requesting it
yeah, but
for
what's wrong with
weddings
that?
and wedding receptions,
Well,
and where do we draw the line,
Well,
right?
One thing that I would like to bring up is if we don't have a formal policy, I think that maybe a future meeting, like we went over goals and policies, that this is definitely something that would fall under that. However, with the understanding of working at Rosemary for the past 2 years, we don't have a custodian that's on staff like 24/7, and typically it's a Chris Burnham setting up rooms and whatnot. I think that because it feels like there might even be a shortage of custodians, adding this on top of what they're already doing during the week, and typically people are reserving weekends.
And what if
This
it's the
is one thing.
summer? Sorry,
During the summer, also,
We wouldn't allow
it's
it.
untouchable, but I think that it's important to maybe even bring this to the building maintenance side and like the people that oversee all the custodial staff, because if we already know that they're not, they don't have the staffing for weekly events or things that even we're running that need a custodian or a building monitor, like, we don't wanna,
I
burn
agree.
them out as well.
I totally agree, totally agree.
I think we should clarify the policy.
Agreed. So when we built this building, we went around and around the commission at that point, and we couldn't reach agreement. That's really why we never moved off the dime with a policy. Some people felt like you do that we should rent it out and maximize revenue. Other people felt like I did, that said the taxpayers paid for this. They didn't pay for it to be a private rental room. And we really couldn't reach agreement. It wasn't an argumentative thing. We just were on different pages. And I think that's why we never came up with a policy, but you're right. Henny, you're exactly right. We need a policy to address it. So
Right.
somebody like, this person, Jen, I don't catch her last name.
Um,
So that we could say, no, this is our policy, or yes, this is our
Right.
policy. So we
Right.
need to do that. I'm not a fan of trying to get revenue out of this room that way, Jim. I respect
I
that idea.
agree.
It's all about revenue things, but, I don't know that you get enough revenue to make it worth the headache. And I think it's a bigger issue that goes beyond just Park and Rec, quite honestly.
It's a
I think
risk,
it
it's
goes-
near water.
Yeah, and I think it goes to, further up the ladder in town government, because the Board of Health is also there, and there are other groups that use that. And this is not Powers Hall, right? Powers Hall is a different venue, and that is, there are policies, you can rent it out, you can have alcohol if you get the permits. This is different.
This is a
in my
liability
opinion.
waiting to happen. I'm sorry, but I
Right,
just,
so I've always been against renting out this public space for private use. Other, you know, I mean, it's one thing to have it be a PTC or a sports group, but I don't like this, and I would probably almost always be a no, but I respect that we could make, I don't know how much money we would make, I don't know that it would be.
I have no
worth that.
idea, but I'm
Right.
just, it just seems like all these events. All around town, all around everywhere, everybody's short of money for different things and there's, at some point, different facilities. I mean, even like signage or, you know, everybody seems to be against.
Well,
all these different
that's
revenue
a
sources.
baseball,
I'm just-
the athletic thing, right, but I've never been in favor of this, but I respect other opinions, and we went around and around. Whenever that was, 2015, 16, talked about this, but we never could reach agreement, but we should come up with a policy and.
I
vote on
agree.
it, and You may prevail.
Cindy, I agree.
It's like, I just see dollar signs and I see everybody's short dollars.
Oh. it's-
I just
But
think
this
we're
is,
looking
people
for
will be
revenues that-
drinking, we're near water, we're near the pool, like, I just think it's, I think.
I don't think they're gonna be around the pool.
Liability.
They're not near the pool.
They would, I mean, if we
They
ever
can
did this,
access the pool.
They
from that
can access,
building,
they can
and-
absolutely
and-
access the pool.
and that's a liability I don't want to visit.
I agree.
I mean, we can lock it down. It's not hard to access the pool from that building.
No, and not, and the lake.
Out the
and
back
the-
side.
Yeah, I just think it's a bad, I think, I agree with Cindy in that maybe we should bring this to not just our, you know, opinions, but maybe we should bring it to upper government in town as well, because it was not created. I mean, in the summer, it's a huge problem. There's no parking. So what do we say? You can rent it, but only if it's not in the summer. I mean, there's a lot of things we have to think about here. And I think this is gonna take a little bit to figure out.
What I would
Yeah,
ask,
and there was thought that there was some thought we would rent this space out, that was definitely talked about a lot, we couldn't come to a conclusion.
Right, I mean, it's been rented out for meetings, it's been rented out, to my understanding, for sports like banquets or what have you. Those, I think, kind of are, I think, a good, what people maybe had in mind, but as far as, like you said, Cindy, it's not a Powers Hall, it's not a VFW. It's not that big of a space. I mean, I don't know how big this, you know, bar mitzvah is gonna be, but I just think if we have, this is gonna take a little bit long, because if we do this, then there's weddings and there's, you know, who knows what else. We can't just say only for bar mitzvahs, but not for wedding. I mean, I think this is something that's gonna take a little more time to figure out.
what I would ask Stacy, if you can do this and maybe pull together what the qualifications, or not the qualifications, the asks that, say, Powers Hall has for renting that room. We can also do a due diligence and find out what other locations ask for requirements for renting rooms. We can see what those general policies are, and then see what, if we ever did explore something like this, the amount of things that we would have to add on, because you can't take a blanket policy of what Powers Hall does to what we could do, because it's not the same building. But at
Right.
least we can look to see if, like, all right, this is where the start would be, and then we're going to add on 8 other things because of the location that we have.
Right. I agree. And I just think the water is a huge contingency. I mean, I will just speak from experience. When I lived in Alaska, I was on the Park and Rec, it was called something different there. And a hall was rented out that was in close proximity to water, and there was a drowning due to alcohol. I just think it's a bad idea when alcohol is involved.
I would say other locations we
There's
can
no-
talk to are the
There's
schools
no,
as well as
you
the.
don't know.
I will let them know.
And maybe, Mr. Chair, we could ask, the staff if, when they have a minute, they don't have many, to draft or get to us that draft policy, because I do think there was a draft
Mm.
policy, right?
Yep.
I mean, people will ask for, simple birthday parties, right? Would you do
Right.
birthday parties for a 5-year-old? So there's no alcohol, they're
Yep.
probably not getting down to the pool, but would we allow that? And, yeah, we
Yep.
went around and around on these.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
The last one is, appeal of field uses decision from Needham baseball softball. From Andrew Fink, which is our new field scheduler. I don't know what his official title is, but that's what we call him. That's what we call all of them. Can you guys see my email scrolling up and down?
Yes,
Yes.
Okay. So he attached a document. This is the email. They want to appeal the process of us giving priority to any of the adult groups over the youth groups, because that's what our policy specifically states. So he sent this to me. I told him that I would bring it to you. And then he wrote back and said, the appeal says the policy states that it goes to you and I get to make the decision. Which technically is policy. However, how we've been operating since the last 5 years is that I would not make this unilateral decision, and I think that the commission should weigh in. Also, there is no fields appeal committee, which I don't know if there was when the draft was
I don't think so.
brought up. But it says if I vote on it, I rule on it, and then there's a appeal, it goes to the Fields Appeal Committee. I've never heard of that. So I'm bringing it to you, and it's in your packet.
I don't
And
quite
what is
understand it. What are they asking?
He does not want, the short answer is he doesn't want to give up any time to adults, and he doesn't think adults should have any of the prime time locations, specifically, especially on Claxton. On a brand new field, he doesn't think adult softball should have
What
nights.
times is he talking about?
It's, so it's in your packet. I don't wanna read through the whole thing, it's a page and a half, but,
Yeah.
But it's so unclear.
It was
Like, there's
unclear to
no
me. I
times,
read it.
There's no feel, like this one, right here.
that's the one.
Yeah, it's very
So
unclear.
Jargon.
I think that this conversation started about like when we were reviewing the field
Yes.
permits and people were submitting things, and you have groups that are looking for any available space. And when you're all requesting whatever you've used before,
Sure.
or things where there are gonna be conflicts, it starts out with me addressing the user groups, attaching them both so they can see and communicate. And then very explicitly saying like Tuesdays and Wednesdays, you have a conflict because you're both requesting the same time. And then from there, the assumption is that they're going to make a resolution, and if there isn't, then Park and Rec makes a decision, which we do fall back on what we've done in previous years, and that's kind of just been our guideline. And I think that the conversation sparked when Andrew had brought up, well, that's just, best courtesy or like the common thing that we've done. However, he's saying, according to this policy, there's no like, you have to do it kind of thing.
Yeah,
or-
so he's
I don't know how to
asking us
explain
to not ask him to share time.
And is he?
Say that
so he's
again,
talking-
Stacy.
So he basically reached out to me and said, I'm not sure why we are asking him to give up time for the youth groups in order for some of the adult groups to operate. Now, a lot of this comes into play because 2 of our diamonds are down right now. And I basically said to him, because he called me on the phone and emailed me a few times. And I said, look, this has been our practice for the last 5 years. I don't think Park and Rec is going to omit access to the adults in our community. I think Park and Rec is much more inclusive than that. But I'll bring it to the commission. Your permits, as of right this moment, stand as they have been submitted or permitted by Hannah, and we're not changing anything. But I did tell him I would bring it to you, much to his dismay. He wanted me to just rule on it, and I told him I would not.
But it's hard
Yeah,
to
I think this
understand,
is a
like,
longer
it every
discussion.
evening?
It
So-
wasn't clear in his phone call either.
So I just don't know what he's refuted, like.
So
what he's
Yeah, I
Is it
say,
not-
At the bottom, he's refuting the request for Broadmeadow.
Looks like
What's
So
that?
Well, no, that's the
is-
requested solution. right?
Oh.
So there
So
are
he-
spaces that hold on, Dina, there's spaces that people are going to request, and
Yeah.
again, going back to the previous years of what has been done, and I will use that example, like, I will try my best to accommodate what people have done in the past in terms of like, when Claxton was open, However, like Stacy's mentioned, with those two diamonds being down, we have to find alternatives, and if there's something that they're willing to give up, which they said Upper Broad Meadow, that's not what this adult softball co-ed requested. Like, we have to make some type
No,
of
they requested
adjustments.
Claxton and
Yeah,
McLeod.
and McLeod, yeah, which we're not giving the priority.
Well, I mean, all of our adult softball groups requested Claxton, apparently they don't drive by it. Because I said,
It's not.
it's closed.
Closed.
They're like, well, it will be open by by April 1st, and I was like, you've got to be kidding me, no, it's a big dirt pile right now.
Maybe you don't
Um,
drive that way.
And so I did talk to like all the adult groups that are struggling, like. It's going to be open by June if you wanna like adjust your schedule, that might make it easier to get time in there. But right now, we're trying to put softball, like adult softball at Mitchell and Broadmeadow and all places that it probably doesn't belong, but we're just trying to make it work until Claxton comes back online.
Right.
And is he not
It
happy with that?
confuses, though, he's saying he does not want to, he wants to make sure that the youth groups get priority scheduling over the adult groups, which is part of our policy.
It is our policy. right.
Absolutely, and I
right.
think if you look at the numbers, we absolutely prioritize youth versus
Yeah,
the adults, but
right.
we don't omit adults.
We don't
completely.
shut them out
No.
because.
And I
they
certainly don't
want to
think we
play.
should, it's Park and Rec
Right.
fields, it's the town
Right,
fields, so.
right.
No, but I think I think given all the fields are offline and just understanding, I think we need to see where, like, how many fields is adult softball getting over youth over the course of the week? Like, it's really hard.
Oh, you wanna
make-
see the permanent schedule?
Yeah,
Yeah.
cause it's
Yeah,
hard
just
to
having
know,
it
I
right,
don't
do
know,
they get
is he
it?
being
Right.
totally unreasonable, or is it like 2 of the 7 adults
Right,
getting?
right, I
And he just
agree.
wants those 2, that's different from every evening being blocked by adult
Right.
softball. He's not liking that. So I think
Historically, it's been 2 nights a week, and like Saturday mornings, I wanna say.
Sunday morning, or is that
Sunday
adult
mornings,
soccer?
adult-
Somebody
No,
plays that.
soccer's on
adult
Sundays, but
soccer.
I don't have it off the top of my head, but I
Yeah.
can send you
I
the
just-
Sunday
permits
morning.
for.
Sunday
I think it's
morning.
unique.
Yeah. But only.
It's
adults.
unique
That-
in
are
that.
you looking
Oh.
for input?
But I think that's also like, I told them I would bring it to you, but it's all the adult programs, so it's softball, it'll be, I mean, if we're gonna entertain this conversation with him, we have to also consider adult soccer has Sunday mornings. Is that a prime time? I do not know. So we have adult softball, we have the temples, we have cricket, and we have adult soccer, and we also have frisbee. So this is a time where spring is a time when we have more adult programming than we do any other time of the
In
year.
the fall. right.
And it's also for the diamonds, which is also baseball, softball's biggest time of the year, because that's the time.
I mean,
That's
honestly,
what-
Not to play devil's advocate, but in terms of the priority list too, like, it is Needham High School, then Park and Recreation. Park and Recreation doesn't currently offer these types of adult recreation, just we don't have the bandwidth, and it's not on our priority list right now, so like, this is what's being offered for the town. And
To fill the gap.
whether it was ran by us or not, like, we would be picking the times and the days of when we wanna be as well, so like, I kind of feel for the groups, but at the same time, if this is the way that the policy reads, like, we just gotta figure out what the best.
Except when we have
process
fields offline, I think that's kind of an I wouldn't say extraordinary, but
That's
that
what it has to
happens,
be.
right?
Yeah.
Right, so we
Yeah.
have to compromise when we have fields that are
Right.
offline.
We
right?
don't typically have 2 at a time, like more often we have 1 field, it's not very often, we have 2, especially diamonds go down at the same time.
It's always baseball, isn't it, Chris?
Yep.
Yeah.
Well,
But
I
yeah,
mean,
your point
this
that-
is one of the things we run into is that one of our goals is whenever we redo a field is that we want to make it as much multi-purpose as possible. That when you do that, you're going to have multiple groups now asking for certain fields, that when you take a field or 2 fields offline, everyone's going to feel the pinch for it, that everyone's going to have to sacrifice. It's not just one group, it's a bunch of groups. And it just happens to be, this is just bad timing to have both Claxtons and the big multi-purpose field offline at this time. But the benefit of everyone going to gain of this once the fields are done is going to be extraordinary, that it is a tough time and, people's going to have to deal with it. We have to deal with the high school sports. If high school sport runs late, guess what? The youth groups have to wait until that high school sports ends. That's just the way it is. We would love for everything to be on the clock and everything to be done right on time, but we know that doesn't happen. So everyone's going to have to make sacrifices. And if certain groups don't like the particular field that they got, then you get no field. But if you're going to take what you get, then you get what you get.
I would agree. I think we need to agree to move this forward and discuss once we have more details about exactly what they're looking for. And also it's a unique situation in that two of the diamonds are closed. So I think this is not something that's gonna be resolved tonight.
But
Great.
your question was whether, because the way he's claiming that youth should always be prioritized over adult. And it's whether or not we should be adhering to that. Is that what you were referring to?
The last point that I just said.
Yeah.
So I was mostly bringing up the fact that like if we were running a park and rec
Oh, yeah.
sanctioned like league or something,
I think it was,
we would
right.
also, you know, be
Yeah.
taking time away and
But-
it's a little different when it is an outside group. I think that when we send you guys the schedule of where those conflicts are, you'll see there are some groups that specifically want during the week. There are some groups that are on the weekend, but again, what is prime time? Like what is,
Oh, yeah, I mean, that's totally
like,
subjective. So that's
everything's
just
prime
how
time
it
when the
is.
fields aren't open, I have to be honest.
Well, everyone's prime time is different.
Yeah.
And every age group probably has a different prime time too. But the policy reads that youth. I'm just
Youth gets
clarifying, yeah.
priority.
So he's correct in saying
Right.
we should be getting, so we need to be able to interpret that appropriately, but the offline. So we've never had an issue with there being a dispute over how we've allocated it because we want to allocate it. So, okay.
Never had somebody
But-
appeal.
But it does feel like the appeals should, my view is the appeals should come to this group and we take that off of the staff. Like we,
Sounds great.
I mean, I don't know.
Are you volunteering?
I agree. I agree.
But I think it is- I mean,
No, but
it
I
is a
think in things
commission
like
policy.
this.
Right,
We
we're the
need,
group,
we need,
right.
yeah, we need to be stepping in and this is a unique circumstance and I don't expect that there's gonna be like this influx of appeals, but.
But you don't know how far he could take this. He could take this further, right?
Right, so for me,
um,
I think if we have a bit more detail.
is there something in the policy that says in the event of conflicts? The director, well,
It does.
it says that,
No,
right?
it says the director makes the first call,
Yeah.
Okay.
so it
Which you have
says.
done, right? You've
You've
said,
done, you've given out the permits.
you've
Yeah,
given
the
them, yes.
permits.
And then,
And then it would go to the field conflict committee, that doesn't exist.
I would,
So this
I
would be
would,
it.
I would say that that is probably the commission.
I was gonna
Yeah,
say that is
that's-
now.
that
the
is probably the
It
commission.
Probably, it wouldn't hurt to update the language a little
Right.
bit, to be more
I
inclusive.
don't think we've ever had a field conflict committee.
I mean,
don't
I
know.
assume she meant the commission, or I assume that's how it was
Maybe
read.
we have a subgroup.
I
But-
think so
I
too,
understand.
Stacy.
Seems overkill.
I think we
Like-
we can
Yeah.
just, we need more
But
info,
we need to make the decision.
discuss at a later date.
I will find out if there's anything that's very specifically, cause he has a solution, but he doesn't tell us what he's
Right.
specifically.
What the
Right.
solution is.
Yeah,
I would say.
No, he tells us
all
what the solution is, he
conflicts
doesn't
are
ask
conflicts.
what his ask is.
right.
Right, he
It's like
basically
the day
says,
the event.
right,
I don't
it
have,
basically says I want my youth group to always have priority.
Right, I don't know if he's saying like, we want Tuesday nights back, or if he's
Yeah.
saying, we want all the nights and
Right,
the, whatever's left, then the adults can have that.
but I do
Yeah.
think that the commission has the right somewhere under the policy to say, listen, we have to compromise, and this is the reason why. Often it's because we don't have enough field space, right now it's because some are closed, that's why we don't, but.
Well, and I think we still have to be, it's not gonna be.
Let's just
equitable.
ask for more info.
No, it has to be reasonable, yeah.
Yeah.
Right, it has to be reasonable, and we can't tell, I mean, I think we're all about the youth sports, right? If
I think
any,
that's pretty clear.
right, so, but it doesn't mean that we don't want the adults to have space.
Right.
I mean, if they're playing sports, they need to, or games, whatever.
Yeah,
they
they're
need
paying the
to.
taxes, lots of kids.
All right,
All right,
so does that give you something to,
totally.
okay,
Okay.
terrific.
Okay, then the last thing is, I don't know if you can tell, but somebody different did the minutes.
Could definitely tell.
Could you tell?
Oh, gosh.
It was Nikki.
Oh my God, they're so good.
I love.
I
her.
was like, Nikki spent so much time on, I walked up to her and I read, I
Because
like
she's
looked over her
listening.
shoulder and I was like, and I started laughing and she was like, don't laugh at me. This is how I used to have to do it in the town manager's office. And
I
like,
used to
so,
have to do that in my job.
This
What is
is
it, like
so
10
helpful
pages?
because for a commissioner, you can read it and say, oh, that's right. I needed to be thinking, right? It jogs your memory and
she
it
did a
brings you.
great job.
Yeah, so please.
She's happy to relinquish the job. She did not
Yeah.
want it. She did it as a Band-Aid, although she may have to step up and do it again without Dom.
Please thank
did an
her.
excellent
Please
job.
thank her.
Wow. We are
I was
saving.
like, how many pages are they? And she was like, 6. I was like, it wasn't even a long meeting, Nikki. I love it.
We love Nikki.
But,
Yeah.
okay, that is,
Alright. I will make a motion to approve the novel of minutes that we have.
Second,
Okay, for March 10th. Any further discussion? All right, hearing none, roll call vote. Jim,
Aye.
Cindy,
aye.
Michelle,
Hi.
Dina.
I,
I am also an aye, so they pass unanimously from the notes of, or minutes from March 10th. Just quickly, oh, we're going back to the beginning here. Anything, oh, hold on. Go back to the agenda.
shares update and items not reasonably anticipated.
Just three quick things. As a matter of fact, I know Stacy, you brought this to my attention. The carnival that they used to use the upper lot at the high school. They have asked for other locations because they will not be able to do the carnival up there because of the tennis court project and the stairs. Have you given them an alternative, and what did they say?
We have not given them alternative. They have
Okay.
reached out to us with an alternative, and we told them they had 3 options. They could use the memorial parking lot to house the event and parking would have to be elsewhere. We said they could use Newman parking lot, but they said Newman was too small. And then I said, you know, you could cancel or try another business in town, like across 195, 128. You can tell I was born here.
128, know what you mean.
Across 95, they requested,
Go ahead, say it. Just say it.
DeFazio, the green space between the track and the pavilion
For the carnival.
for the carnival.
Does Ed know about this?
No, I was like, I'm not telling him.
Wow.
I talked to Katie King, she was like, don't tell him, no, because I mean, it would just
Would ruin it.
ruin all of it, plus it would just ruin it,
They
so.
normally have it on pavement.
On
right?
it, yes,
Mhm.
and so what I'm gonna do is reach out to them again and just say, look, we can make Memorial work, but we can't, the commission will never entertain DeFazio for any carnival whatsoever.
No.
We don't even know what-
never, never.
No, I know, but plus then the spillover, it would just, it's gonna get ruined.
It would
Crap.
be horrific. No.
Anyway, that was it, and I need to follow up with the carnival folks and see what they wanna do.
Okay, perfect. The only other 2 things I know, you sent out an email about in regards to the town meeting and the warrant articles. Do we have the warrant date? Yes, you did. I just don't shake.
You're going to go to the warrant meeting
did,
where they
yeah.
need people.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, I don't read them, I
Yes.
just send them.
Yeah.
I unfortunately am out of town for the meeting this year, so I will not be able to be in a room. Will that be okay?
Oh, right, the room folks.
Oh, that.
Yes.
Okay.
So if we can just take a roll call, or we can email Stacy who could be available that night to speak in regards to the 2 articles, that would be great. If you have to take multiple rooms, we'll take multiple rooms.
I'm gonna be there anyways.
The CPC.
Yeah.
Oh, perfect. So you're in 2 hats, whatever room you're in. Or maybe you're moving rooms, I don't know.
No, I
Okay.
don't know what room.
But if
I'm
we can have
in.
something solidified prior to that, that would be great, so people know where to go. Last thing I just have to say is congratulations, is that we have, it looks like, a new town manager that will be coming in. Katie King has been chosen by the board, so I think it is a great pick. I know there were definitely some strong candidates, but I think that Katie King will be a glowing exception and will do great for the town.
I agree. It's awesome.
We're very happy.
Yeah,
Very.
it's great too.
Great. All right, anything else? Anyone of the other commissioners, anything to bring up?
Next meeting date, oh, Michelle has
Just a
something.
future meeting agenda topic. I wanna make sure we get back to playgrounds and have a more detailed plan, and I feel like there's a bunch of groups that we're needing to get back to. And I think we've lost, or my feeling is that we've lost touch with a lot of the PTC groups, like the fact that the Newman, I think she's on the PTC, felt the need to have to come to talk to us about the playgrounds. Like, I think we had more informal channels with them, so just, I mean,
Yeah.
for future, but I just
She's
feel like.
also running for town meeting.
I was gonna say, nobody ever reached out to us.
That's
like,
what I
they
mean,
skipped right
like,
over. And I
Right,
was like,
I feel like there's been like, oh, guys, you're not doing anything to the playground. I'm like, have you reached out to any of us? Have you, and so there's just this.
There's been a lot of
Well, and-
turnover. I
Yeah,
know
it's
that.
turnover. People
A
aging
lot
out.
of
Community
turnover.
Which is
Okay.
typical, but like maybe we need to be more active. I'm happy to be involved in any of that playground activity, and I can work with the PTC members, like,
Yep.
so.
One of
maybe
the
this can
things we
come
could
together as a
do-
plan.
is also, Woo has been, doing a lot of extra work on our playgrounds. And we could probably get like a update in the
Yeah.
director's report of what's going on and what he's been up to, so I can work with him on that, because
Yeah.
he's been killing it, and he's been at all the playgrounds. He's been working on his day off was Monday, so he's been working for us on overtime and upgrading and sending me pictures and asked me to buy a
Yeah.
lot of things, so it's been great.
Yeah, that's great. I think the more we can just, can get
Yeah.
communication out and also just have. Better sense of where we are, because I think a lot has changed since the last time we did that audit of the playgrounds.
In 21,
Yeah.
Yep.
So.
Yep.
I probably have to redo that.
Alright.
Guys, my computer's about to die.
Okay.
All right, so quickly, we are not doing April 14th because of
My
Patriots Day?
birthday.
Oh, it was Michelle's
No.
birthday, you're right, sorry,
Michelle's
Michelle.
birthday
Michelle's birthday.
slash a religious holiday.
She'll be 406 years
That's a
old.
religious holiday?
Yeah.
Why is it not on the calendar? Oh,
Yeah.
So,
Not
all right,
a-
do we think we're good for just having the next meeting on April 28th?
that's it. Oh,
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
What is it?
Cause the following Monday is Marathon Monday, Patriots
It's
Day,
Sunday.
so we couldn't work
So
that
yeah, so
anyway,
let's
and it's
let's
school
just all
vacation.
plan
so
on
28th.
being there
Oh,
for
I
April
do have one
28th
as
is good.
well.
Okay,
Yeah.
The 12th,
Perfect.
13th, you know.
Okay.
That's the night before the
Motion to
meeting.
adjourn.
Wait, do we have date? Did I just miss that? Which was-
28th.
the 28th is our
28th
next,
is our next
Yeah,
meeting.
but that's the League of Women Voters Warrants meeting, isn't it? Is that not that night?
It is?
I
Isn't
think
it?
we met there. Didn't
I
we
can
meet
look.
for
I
30 minutes
think
before?
it is.
Oh,
Oh,
It usually is the Monday before town meeting.
Right.
I only did it for this.
So.
right, doodle poll?
Maybe
Do
could
we-
meet at
Wait, wait.
6:30 there, but.
I was gonna
hard to get
say-
a room.
Could we,
We
well,
did
it's
that
what,
one.
it's right at the senior center, so why can't we just meet at the Rosemary Complex half an hour before and then head up?
I mean, maybe.
Oh,
meet
right, I'm out
early.
of town, actually. I won't be here, but
Yeah,
you
already
know, if
mentioned
you,
that.
the rest of you are
Fine.
here, it's fine.
28th at 7:30.
So we could meet at 6, yeah, you probably can't do 6.
I can,
6:30.
it's okay.
I mean, if we did 6:30, Chris,
Yeah.
and then,
We could do 6:30 and do an abbreviated meeting, and we could all,
Let's do
literally,
that
it's just
there.
gonna be prep for it will be prep for the warrant meeting. And if anything really
Okay.
pressing, and then what we'll do is we'll push the, what's the more serious topics? The bigger topics,
right,
till
can-
May 12th.
All right, and I
Yeah.
won't be here, so if somebody wants to note
Then
that,
we'll do
please, on the
11.
28th.
Yep, Dina is still not gonna be there, got it.
Take a motion already.
Motion to adjourn.
second,
Motion second.
Okay, motion third, okay, great, all right, roll call, Jim,
Aye.
Michelle,
Aye.
Cindy,
aye.
Dinah.
Hi, go Houston.
Oh, God. Chair's also in agreement. Enjoy, everyone. Good luck to Cindy and Michelle on the town election tomorrow.
Yes.